Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show. Right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South sports station.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253 DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
It's time for Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sportstime is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome into Sports Time on a Monday. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Johnny Hill with you for the next 3 hours. A ton to get to after a busy weekend. We had a lot of college basketball action, some really good games, including the Tigers, a home victory over Florida Atlantic. We talked about it a lot on Friday when we were out at the Crazy Coop about how this was kind of a game that felt like everyone had circled, no matter what this season was going to be for FAU or for Memphis. Because of what happened last year in that tournament game, this one was the big one, and it was fun at FedEx Forum yesterday. But like I said, Brian Brett with you for the next 3 hours. Brett, how are you this afternoon?
Brian, I'm great, and we did talk a lot about it on Friday. We knew the stakes, and the Tigers stepped up once again with controversy swirling around the program with the late Friday night news into Saturday morning. And I really do want to keep it on the great win, but with all that news and the subsequent not playing, holding back Malcolm Dandridge, we'll see how much or if that story grows. I think if it's isolated to one person, it's not a great look, but it's much better than if it's 2 or 3 or 4 on Friday night. I'm getting texts from people that it's as many as 6, and it includes other sports. And, on Sunday it could be, any number of doomsday scenarios. Well, none of that played out. Right. But I also want to do this, Bryant. Bluff City Media was right.
They were, yeah.
And they deserve credit for that. I saw kind of a scary, disturbing thread throughout kind of Tiger, Memphis-centric Twitter over the weekend of it doesn't matter who gets it first as long as it's right. Well, they were first and right.
Yeah. No, absolutely, they were, and so definitely credit to them. And
that's worth something, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
It sure used to be.
Yeah.
People have a room full of Pulitzers over that.
Absolutely, and that's big for sure.
It may not be the Times, and it may not be the Post, and it may not be a lot of things, but they were right.
No, absolutely, and that's big. Being right is certainly priority, but also, being the first to get a scoop like that is huge, and it's not the first time they've broken news this year, so definitely credit to them. And then, but some of the responses I was seeing, even after the university put out their statement about it, and you had everybody reporting it, all the news stations, all of the beat writers and all of that. I saw some people going into comment sections of people that were just saying what was in the press release from the university and saying, well, I don't know why you're going after Malcolm Dandridge like that. Like, whoa. We're just saying what was in the statement. And, and so definitely, not a good look at all when you have something like this.
Now the reluctance, the reticence, the holding back, waiting for more information to play out, I can understand that as well.
Sure. No, absolutely. But that was certainly a weird way to start the weekend.
Wasn't it?
Kind of going into this, excitement over the game, and then Friday night you hear those reports and you see that, and then you're kind of waiting for something to drop, and then Saturday morning we really got it from the university releasing that statement, and I think a lot of people made them very nervous for what the game would be, but a lot of guys stepped up without kind of having that big man presence and turned into a great win for the Tigers.
You've had some suggest now that might even be better going forward. No, it's not. Yesterday, I think kind of because you saw what the big man for FAU did, and the Tigers know they have to play him again. I'm I'm a pretty results-driven person. Mm-hmm. The team that wins, well, for whatever reason, it may really stink, but to the victor go the spoils. They won.
Sure.
FAU had the luckiest Final Four run in the history of Final Fours.
Yeah, I mean, I know it was kind of, during the game on yesterday on ESPN, it was kind of brutal how much we talked about what happened last year with those last seconds. But, wherever you kind of sit on the timeout, they get the benefit of them, saying a jump ball instead of a timeout, and then you go.
Now, they didn't make Kendrick Davis and Malcolm fight among each other.
No. That was a little side plot of all that. But then you win that game and you immediately look up, and instead of Purdue, the number 1 overall seed, you're seeing FDU. I mean, that's a pretty good way to start those first 2 rounds.
Which sounds like a online acronym for something ugly.
Well,
FDU.
That's right. No, you get confused if you didn't know about Fairleigh Dickinson.
What'd you say to me? I said FDU.
That's right. That's right. No, but you're right. But I think for the Tigers, there were people wondering what. How much this would mean to them, and how much energy they would bring with so few guys coming back from the team that had that interaction with FAU last year, and they were into it early. They brought it early and really controlled that game really all afternoon.
And this is the time of year, as we're boiling down to it. Next Monday finally starts conference tournament action. This is the last Monday in February. And then next Monday, conference tournament action begins. The following weekend, the time changes. Mm-hmm. And then the following weekend, somebody's got a birthday and there's a bracket revealed. In 3 Mondays, we will be sitting here talking about who's in, who's out, who's snubbed. I don't think there are many snubs anymore. I don't. With Dayton expanded to the 2-night affair in 68, I can't really make a strong case for you. Others can, and others will. But this is when, you have to get hot. Mm. This was a weekend where everybody kind of in the bubble world lost.
Yeah, and that was kind of, I forgot who
which helps Memphis.
Absolutely. And I can't remember now who I saw this tweeted out on Twitter Saturday night, but I think it was like 9 of the first 10 in Joe Lunardi's, bubble, next however many out lost on Saturday.
Yeah, you're right, Brian. You're right.
And so, that's definitely huge for the Tigers. They can get hot here. I mean, there's a reason these teams are on the bubble and are trying to fight in. And
now here's the rub there, though. A lot of it'd be hard for another weekend of that to happen, and the Tigers stay victorious, winning Thursday at East Carolina and winning Sunday at home at FedEx Forum, because a lot of those bubble teams are going to start running into each other.
Right.
In these bigger conferences.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so
somebody's got to win.
I mean, it's a good point. And so, we'll see. I don't think, obviously that win helped the Tigers, and
it did.
Obviously they need to keep playing, but I still think it's going to be hard without a super deep run in Fort Worth to make this as an at-large.
I don't reject pulling a repeat of last year of getting hot at the right time.
Sure.
I don't think those seeds and brackets are going to mean a whole lot or should scare anybody. I mean, if you're scared of South Florida, might need to rethink a lot.
Brad in the top 25 this week.
If you're scared of South Florida, might need to rethink a lot. Somebody's got to be in there. And another example of, I don't think that top 25 makes a tinker's you-know-what. These bracketologists matter a lot more than pollsters.
Sure, yeah, no, and that's why we, around this time, we all go daily to all these sites, and we talk to Shelby Mast once a week to see what's going on in his bracket, is because around this point, these are the guys that study what that field's going to look like, and who are the teams that go and who are the teams that don't go. And so, no, this is a huge time of the year.
It's a huge time of the year. Now, I tell you who the net just loves. Mm-hmm. They love them some Big 12, and they should.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think hands down the best conference in basketball.
I think so.
It is so good. It's so fun. I mean, that Baylor and Houston game first game of the day on Saturday goes to overtime. An incredible game. You had Oklahoma State later that evening that Oklahoma forces overtime and then wins it with a buzzer beater. I mean, it's just always really, really good games. UCF beat Texas Tech. I mean, top to bottom, that league is just unbelievable, and a good reason why the metrics like it, and a good reason why you see a couple of those top teams being talked about as teams that could win it all.
I know, after dismissing the top 25, I know South Florida, they got to be proud of that. The job done this year by a first-year head coach at just a basketball wasteland that it's become. But what do you think matters more? 25 in AP, was in AP, right?
Yeah, AP.
25 in AP or 84 in net?
That's a good question. I would say probably net, but certainly, I mean, top 25 is great for that program. I know first in program history, but I would say especially this late in the year, certainly the net. And
I know over the weekend, South Florida's magic number to where they can be the 1 seed. And Memphis can't be. That's been accomplished. Memphis cannot be the 1. I don't think can be the 2 even. And South Florida is about to put the rest of the league away. That would advance them into Friday automatically, right? They wouldn't play before Friday.
Right.
If they lost on Friday, they got to be sweating on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Of selection show.
Well, I mean, I've said it. You look at all of the metrics.
They better wrap themselves in that ranking and hope that covers them.
Well, and we've talked about this before. You look at their net, you look at Kim Pom, you look at all the metrics that the selection committee looks at, and South Florida does not have great numbers, and that's going to hurt them. I've been saying it. I think if another team doesn't win the tournament, I think FAU would be the only team to get a bid in the American. But, that certainly could change. And with FAU, if they go on a losing streak, I know now they're kind of down on the 8-9 line. But I think, we'll just have to see. But it's going to be a competitive tournament, I think.
I thought the weekend showed that, to me, it's not a very good league. Rice wins over East Carolina. Texas San Antonio wins at North Texas.
Yeah.
Tulsa beat Charlotte. Charlotte, before they came to Memphis, I think they were kind of thinking something of themselves. South Florida beats SMU. The Tigers get the big win. Temple wins on the road at Wichita State, and UAB wins at Tulane. You know how many games Tulane's won since the Tigers left New Orleans?
Ooh, since the Tigers left New Orleans, 1.
Playing Tulane, 1 is correct.
Wow.
That was in overtime against Temple. Good job.
Wow.
Overtime against Temple.
Wow. Well, that's not what I really wanted to hear, but
that was a while ago the Tigers left New Orleans.
Brett, it feels like forever ago. The Tigers left New Orleans. That was I know it was in the middle of that 4-game. Was that the start of that 4-game losing streak?
It was the start of it, yes.
Wow.
No, South Florida at home was. South Florida at home.
Okay, so second game of that losing streak.
That was kind of the double whammy of that. And then triple and then quad hammy. But we had that happen, but still, as bad as this league is, Tigers win out, get to Sunday, I feel pretty good. But didn't last year, haven't we seen in the years past, the committee, and I joke about it, and they kind of wrap everything up on midnight on Saturday and all hit the mini bar, and that's the end of their work. Work here's done.
Yeah, no, I mean, it certainly feels
get the big bracket out.
Yeah, and that's why, I think I think we talked about this last week. I think, if the Tigers can continue to find success over these next 3 games, if you enter the conference tournament on, what would that be, a 5-game win streak, and you win your first game, you win your second game, you win your third game. Now you're in the 60s
Sunday. In the net.
Right. Now you're playing in that Sunday game. I think you feel a whole lot better about it because we know that human nature kind of comes into it, and those people on the committee are going to say, "Oh man, look, Tigers getting hot at just the right time. This is the team we thought that we were going to see all year long," and I think that would certainly benefit the Tigers.
Now, if people want to talk about it, you can. The whole issue around Malcolm Dandridge, I'm not going to get that exercised about because I know almost every basketball and football program out there, that could be the breaking news for it tomorrow.
Sure. No,
that is true.
It's something a little bit funky with a term paper and a test and some academic issues. Yep. I'm not absolving it. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm not the academic moral police here either. I'm just saying it's on college campuses. A lot of things happen around around academics and around the athletics department. It could be at a lot of places tomorrow.
It could, and we'll see. It's still kind of.
And it was going on at a lot of places yesterday.
Oh, yes,
Absolutely.
It was. Yes,
Absolutely.
It was.
And we still don't know. I think Dave Woloshin asked Penny about it before the game, and he kind of said, we don't know if this is going to be a one-game thing or if it's going to be a rest of the season thing. He declined to comment about it after with the media. So, it's still kind of a waiting game on if we'll see Malco again this year.
Now, I understand his being vague about it, and I don't blame him, and that's kind of crisis PR 101.
Right. Yeah.
Just don't say anything. Mm-hmm. Just say you can't. Don't say anything. Move on. I don't know why he can't, though, because it's not a health issue. It's not HIPAA, and it's your own compliance department.
Yeah.
That is, it's not NCAA. It's not anybody called and ratted on anybody at the NCAA. So I don't know why you couldn't comment about your own, other than it's safe to say I can't comment, and I'm not going to.
Yeah, like you said. I'm sure every PR person went up to Penny and said, "Look, when they start asking about it,
and I understand that.
Just say you can't comment on it, and so we'll have to wait." And see.
Here's another thing from the weekend, Brian. Kind of my worldview on talk radio is have an opinion.
Sure.
Have it based in something, have it grounded in something. Mm-hmm. Really helps to have the facts on your side.
Absolutely.
But believe in something and say it. Mm-hmm. I'm not that moved over court storming.
Yeah, it's kind of to me. I think I could make arguments for both sides, but I don't really have a firm stance one way or the other.
I know the danger aspect. I've told the story many times. A friend of mine's freshman daughter, weighing all of about 120 pounds, when Ole Miss beat Alabama in 2014.
Yeah.
She goes over the rail in that south end zone, and when she landed, her tibia snapped. They spent the night at the emergency room.
Yeah.
I understand but there's danger a lot of places. Yeah, but I'm not as mad as a lot of people are over.
Right.
It's been the topic on every hot take show everywhere today.
No, absolutely. And the second after it happened, it became the biggest story in the sports world, and it's still going on. And there's really no quick way to fix it, but we'll see what comes out of it, and hopefully for Kyle Filipowski, he is all right and is not injured or misses any games. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. At 3:30, we're going to talk about the Tigers and their win over FAU yesterday. A massive game for this Tiger team, and looked like certainly not the same team we saw against North Texas and SMU. So we'll talk about that in our next segment. 3:45, we'll take a look at the AAC conference as a whole and the tournament coming up in just a couple of weeks. 4 o'clock, David Cobb from CBS Sports will join us to talk some college basketball and some college football. 4:30, Shelby Mast from BracketWag.com will join us again. We'll talk about his most recent bracket, some of the teams that are just inside, just outside, what he thinks about the bubble. We'll get to all of that at 4:30. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, DeMichael Cole, the Grizzlies beat writer over at the Commercial Appeal. He'll join us, talk Grizzlies. They're back in action tonight with a home game against the Brooklyn Nets, a Brooklyn Nets team that just had to fire their coach a week ago, so should be a fun game at FedEx Forum tonight. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending. At 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Get over there for the floor model sale. All floor model patio sets are priced to move. Wicker sofa set under $2,000. Closeout patio cushions as low as $25. Pool tables under $1,500. Theater seating under $2,000. And 4-person hot tubs now under $5,000. Infrared and traditional steam saunas are 25% off. Get ready for summer and purchase your above ground pool now to get first in line for installation. And that's special financing. It's still available. So head over to Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north north of I-40.
He's Brian. I'm Brett. We're Sports Time. It's produced by Johnny Hill, and you can join us at 901-360-8255. We'd love for your take on everything from winning to academics to court storming, on everything over the weekend. The Grizzlies with a heartbreaker on Friday night again, but again played really, really hard. Big crowd Friday night, almost 17,000 legit there for the Clippers on Friday night. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2024 models and always special leasing options. They're the one and only Lexus dealership in town, and you can call them at 901-334-9673. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2024 flagship LS500, and you'll be driving in style. You could pull off in that convertible today and have the top down on this great day and this weather we have ahead of us. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day, it's got to be what the Tigers did yesterday. How could it not be a 78-74 win over Florida Atlantic? We talked about the Malcolm Dandridge situation. We first learned about that Friday night, and Saturday morning is when we got the official release from the university saying that he would be held out from the Florida Atlantic game while they investigated what was going on. So I know for me, a lot of my friends, a lot of the people that I talk to on a daily basis, kind of worried them for the game. We know about the big boy that Florida Atlantic has. We know how good of a player he is. Now the Tigers are going to be missing their starting center. They're going to be, they haven't played Jordan Brown many minutes since he's returned. What are they going to do on the inside? Well, they had two guys step up in a massive way. Naquan Tomlin had a massive game, 21 points, 8 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 blocks for him. David Jones, a good game for him, 25 points. He led the team. But I think one player that has not gotten as much praise as I think he really deserves is Nicholas Jourdain. The game that he had yesterday against FAU, he really stood out to me as one of the most impactful players on the court. Only finished with 3 points, was 1 for 6 from the field, but who cares? It's the dirty work that he brought. 8 rebounds, 6 of them, 6 offensive rebounds last night, and he was just getting active. He was blocking shots. He was getting steals. He was diving on the floor to keep a possession for the Tigers, grabbing offensive rebounds, even though they had the big center, FAU did, in Vlad Golden. He was playing unbelievably, and I think the biggest takeaway that a lot of people are talking about today is how many minutes the starters played for the Tigers. 30, 33, 35, 34, 38. We have finally seen a game where Penny Hardaway has limited this rotation, and we're not seeing as much playing time from this bench unit, only 4 bench points. But when you have 14, 11, 25, 21 from your starters, leave them out there and let them go and win the game, and that's what Penny Hardaway did yesterday.
Bryant, that is a great take from that box score when you look at those minutes logged yesterday. Really, what we're down to is you can count on from the roster on October 1 to now. Remember, on October 1, we weren't even counting on Naquan Tomlin.
Right, yeah.
So remember, the roster on October 1 to the roster now, we're down to about 4 guys. I wish people, please remember this. Next August, September, and October, when you have people that should know better telling you 10, 11, 12, 13-man roster, 1 ball. How's Penny going to divvy up all this playing time? Yep. Everybody's going to want to shoot. There's just no way to keep everybody that you're going to get down to about 4 guys you can really count on. It's just how a season goes. Nobody's going into the tournament really wanting to check in an 8th man unless you're up 20 or down 20.
Yeah, no, you're right. And so hopefully, we see more of this where let those starters go out there and play. And, yeah, give them a couple minutes here and there. But we do not need to see 10 guys playing in a game and
it's
guys
not reality.
14, 15 minutes off the bench.
I mean, just, again, Carl Sharonfonts had the ball go through the bucket, through the rim, 2 times this year. And I think one was a dunk.
Yeah, I think you're right, yeah.
My top story is the Tigers trying to dig out of the deep hole they find themselves in. Already a lot better than it was a week ago today, isn't it? Is it enough? Lots of teams between them and that last team in and all the bracketology lingo. Dayton seems a likelihood, even with the Tigers maybe winning the AQ, the AAC tournament, winning the automatic qualifier. But it can be done. Look what 2 home wins did this week. Now, this week at Fog Allen Arena at Minges Court on Thursday, and the last home game of the year next Sunday versus UAB. Plenty of controversy, plenty of drama, but plenty of wins can make all of that seem back page.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it, and I know we'll probably ask David Cobb his opinion on it, but I don't think we're going to spend a lot of time talking about it, and that's the biggest story this weekend out of college basketball. It's the court storming controversy after Wake Forest got their biggest win of the season over Duke. Here come the students, and there goes Kyle Filipowski trying
Duke leads the world in court storming.
They do, and I mean, what do you expect? But Kyle Filipowski trying to get off the court is bombarded by fans. No, I do not think that he was trying to trip the fans or push the way. I think he was just trying to get out of there.
He did not provoke it.
No,
That's idiocy.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, imagine you're trying to walk off a field or off a court or a field after just losing a very emotional game, and now you've got hundreds of students running at full speed towards you. I mean, that is an uncomfortable situation to be in, and so I hate that Kyle Filipowski got injured. I don't know the answer to it. I've seen some people that say, you put up, 15 seconds or something like that after the end of the game and let that count down and then let the students come on.
Is that really organic, though?
I just don't know about that. My thing is...
Okay, go, cheer, yay!
Yeah. I think this was really the ball was dropped by Wake Forest when it came to security and being prepared for
I
this.
agree.
Steve Forbes said it, Johnny.
I agree.
Absolutely. And I mean, I saw somebody put a video of last week when Creighton beat UConn. And I mean, you saw immediately security going out there.
That's how it's supposed to be.
On the side where Creighton's bench was, you could go over there, whatever. UConn side, they had that rope about at the free throw line, and you could not get any farther than the paint to the sideline. So all UConn players had enough space; they could get out of there. And I think that's what it's going to do. Me and Johnny Radio were talking about it earlier, and he said, well, you can't really have that much security in these college games for every single game. But that's the thing is when Wake Forest is hosting Duke, there's an opportunity that you can beat them. That
they're not storming the court beating Boston College.
It's only,
I agree.
Maybe 3 to 5.
Sorry,
times
BC. All 3 listeners in our area.
But I think what 3 to 5 times, maybe a year in these big conferences that you'll have an opportunity to storm the court. You can prepare better for those opportunities.
Yeah, Duke gets it. They're the big target. Wonder when the last time Duke stormed the court at Cameron Indoor.
That is a great question. I have no idea.
You know the last time Alabama tore down goalposts, don't you?
No, when?
Never.
Really? Wow. Hey, program.
And they wear it as a badge of honor.
As they should, honestly.
Never tearing it.
I love that.
And their theory is, why are we shocked we won?
That's a good point. I love that. That's great.
My not top story, I'm right there with you. And I like taking a side, but I'm really torn on court field storming. First of all, everyone doesn't do it. There wasn't 10,000 people on that court at Winston-Salem.
No.
That was about, what would it take to fill the court up? 1,000?
Probably less, yeah. But
probably less. Yeah. Football, obviously, a lot more.
Yeah.
And all 10,000 aren't out on the court. Usually it's 500 to 1,000. Obviously, it's a safety concern. I mentioned a friend of mine had a daughter injured. There were other injuries in 2014. I think there might have been 1 or 2 last year in Oxford over the LSU game. But with all these coaches, especially college basketball coaches, even college football coaching, just begging students, please come to our game. We'll make it special for you. And now you got Jay Billis wanting to have them arrested. So you beg me to come to the game. We win, I run out on the court, and I spend the night in the jug.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Coach.
Now, I understand people wanting to try to make precautions so that players don't get injured. But saying that if you storm the court, you should get arrested is crazy.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
And Brian, we're going to see it in these smaller leagues, Patriot, NEC, Horizon, where they get down to that final game as a home game for the better seed. Like Ryder, they're hosting. The whole arena is not 800 people.
No.
You're not keeping them. If that ball goes in from half court at the buzzer, you can't put 15 seconds up. No, we got 13 more seconds to wait. They're going out there.
Right.
And I don't know how you can, but then I sure don't want to turn the police on your own students.
No,
that won't help at the Alumni Association dues office in a few years.
No.
Yeah, I went to school there and they had me arrested.
That's right. I got arrested for celebrating.
Now, if there's hooliganism, if you go out there and you throw a punch or you push somebody in the back like David Jones was at Tulane, like I don't know if the young lady was aggressive with Caitlin Clark, but have a little more awareness.
Sure.
Yeah, she didn't have no awareness, Brett. That's what that was.
Had no, you know why? Because her awareness was stuck right in her face in that TikTok machine.
That's right.
That's the only awareness she, only awareness she had. And for sure, if somebody threw a punch at at Jaden Daniels or at anybody out on the field, well, of course the full practice of the law should be administered.
No, you're absolutely right. So it's a very tricky situation, I think, because like I said, I can make arguments for both sides, and I could sit on both sides.
What was the last Tiger court storming? And I know we've gone way long. I just looked at the clock. I'm sorry, Brian.
I do not know the last time.
I don't remember one at FedEx Forum.
No, I don't either.
I don't remember one at the Pyramid.
No, I couldn't tell you one. I vaguely want to say I remember, like, as a freshman, during a big game, there was, like, talk about, like, if we win this game, we're going to storm the court. And then for whatever reason, either they didn't win or we didn't storm. But I couldn't tell you the last time.
I don't remember either. You know, in football, there's been circumstances, but I can't knock it. Anyway, I'm sorry for running long.
No, you're all good. Well, that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about what happened at FedEx Forum yesterday when the Tigers beat Florida Atlantic. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Guns, guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Home defense guns, old guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, Classic Arms has them. All brands like Glock, Sig, Colt, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Browning, Beretta, Benelli, Remington, Winchester, and more. Guaranteed lowest prices in town. Only gun importer in the Mid-South. Free gun inspections and appraisals and free bore sighting for the upcoming deer season. Shop online at ClassicArmsOfMemphis.com or visit Classic Arms at 1740 Germantown Parkway behind Corky's Barbecue in Cordova.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
This is hard to believe, but the Hyundai Santa Fe is actually better. I know, that's crazy, isn't it? The 2024 Santa Fe is new, top to bottom, and even better than before. It's almost as big as the Palisade, so roomy, and now it's got a standard third row. Everybody's clamoring for that. And it's the best SUV when it comes to the ride than ever before. You know how with SUVs you love it because you're sitting high, but you don't get that luxury kind of ride like a sedan? You do with the 2024 Santa Fe. It's the best riding SUV ever, and it's quiet. It's the ultimate family car. All you've got to do to be sold is to test drive it. The people at Homer Skelton Hyundai are saying, come try it. You'll love it. Homer Skelton Hyundai, right at the corner of Highway 78 and Craft Road. First exit in Mississippi. Go see the ultimate SUV, the 2024 Santa Fe.
For John's 60th birthday, his family planned to drive down Old Route 66. But the trip took a detour when his wife got sick with RSV. It's a highly contagious virus that can lead to breathing problems and hospitalizations.
This year, we don't want to cancel our plans. We're protecting ourselves with Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo, respiratory syncytial virus vaccine.
Abrysvo, a vaccine to prevent lower respiratory disease from RSV in people 60 years and older. It's not for everyone and may not protect all who receive it. Don't get Abrysvo if you've had an allergic reaction to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may decrease your response. Most common side effects are tiredness, headache, injection site pain, and muscle pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-844-989-7284 or visit abrysvo.com.
So don't wait. Ask your pharmacist or doctor about Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo, because every breath matters.
Middle of winter, and how many homes with swimming pools do you think will sell? This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Mark's Bensdorf Realtors. How about 2 of my listings with pools selling in freezing weather? One sold with snow and ice on the ground. Oh, did I mention that both of these homes that sold had multiple offers? Both of them. If you or someone you know has a house with or without a pool and you're thinking of selling whatever time of the year, remember what I always say. Talk to 2 to 3 real estate brokers and just make sure that I am one of them. I have a highly successful strategic marketing program that can mean the difference in whether you sell or not and what you can make and when. And find out why people often say that when you want the job done, who are you going to call? Shell Dunn. You can reach me at 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. That's Shell Dunn Rosengarten at memphisrelocate.com or 483-0546. Do it now.
Women here in Memphis are wearing bigger, better quality diamonds and some amazing designer rings thanks to the arrival of Genesis Diamonds. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and Genesis came on the scene here last year and shook up the jewelry world big time with rock-bottom prices on diamonds, a selection that's like 20 times ordinary stores, designer rings you can't find anywhere else, and guarantees and warranties that are the strongest in America. A relaxed, no-pressure, laid-back experience with no commission salespeople. Everybody here is loving what Genesis is doing. Whether you want a lab-grown diamond or a natural diamond, Genesis will easily beat anyone else's price. The owner is a former diamond wholesaler, and Genesis has cornered the market on the world's most acclaimed designer rings. They have all the top 10 designers in the bridal world, thousands of handcrafted rings made by the premier designers. For whatever special occasion you have coming up, don't go to the old-fashioned stores for the same old, same old. Discover the store that's raised the bar in quality, selection, and value. Prepare to be blown away. Genesis Diamonds on Poplar at Perkins Extended.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Yesterday, the big game at FedEx Forum, Tigers and FAU, a 78-74 win for the Tigers. A really fun game, and one that the Tigers wanted. You could tell the energy level was there, and ultimately got a big win for them yesterday.
They did, and the first thing I go to, most importantly, the final score. Mm-hmm. But the next thing I go to after that, you look at turnovers. Only 6.
Yeah,
only
crazy.
6 for the Tigers against a team, essentially, that went to the Final Four last year. They earned their way. They're still the luckiest team ever to do it. I look at that, and then I go – I go to free throws, and FAU were really good, 11 of 14, but the Tigers were sound enough, 11 of 16. That'll win you a lot of games at home with a great crowd and a great house for this team that is aggravating as it has been, especially in the new calendar year in conference play, can still pull off marked success. It can.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It 100% can, and you got to put games like this together. We saw what they did earlier in the week against Charlotte. A great game. The energy level was there. Then they, parlay that into this game against FAU. The energy was there. They come out big and get the win. Can they take that, this week on the road at East Carolina? It's probably going to be a sleepy environment, a sleepy crowd. Can they do that? But you're absolutely right. I mean, they brought in another thing that I went and looked at when that game was over was offensive rebound. Well, your rebounds in general, but offensive rebounds, because late in that game, Golden was playing well, but you could tell he was getting worn down. This Florida Atlantic team could not get into a rhythm. And the Tigers, they were hustling out there and getting offensive board. 15 offensive rebounds in that game. 6 from Nicholas Jourdain, like I was talking about in my top story. But also Naquan Tomlin with 5 offensive rebounds. I mean, that is what you have to have from those guys, especially when you know you're going to be a little undersized, missing Malco. To have those guys go out there and grab offensive rebounds like that, I mean, that was massive.
And Tomlin hitting that first 3, it really kind of carried him the rest of the day. His best game as a Tiger, and it was needed. You mentioned earlier about the minutes played, 38, 36, 33, 32 of 4 of the 5 starters. The 5th, oh, by the way, 30. It's just what it's down to. You go through all the box scores around college basketball, and that's what most of them are going to look like. All right, I said nobody's really counting on an 8th guy. Maybe a couple are getting to 8, but
certainly
not many.
Not 9. I mean, you're seeing some teams with 8, but nobody's going 9, 10 deep, especially this late into the season.
And with any conference of any note, maybe not NEC and some of those others I named earlier, but certainly the American, certainly the big football playing conferences. From here on, with their tournaments, you're going to have a break schedule to where you about can go get your ankles retaped back in the locker room and be back out before the game resumes again. And a smidge longer halftime, a smidge, not much more. Right. And then you get in deeper in the tournament. You sure do. Final Four Saturday does, if you got that far for teams that do. But you're going to have long games, and you're going to have plenty of rest. And this is the time that you got to count on your guys. This is your army you're going to war with.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. And so, I loved seeing that, last year.
This is the coalition of the willing.
You're right. And so I loved seeing, Penny Hardaway just sticking with those starters. I mean, you look at the bench minutes. Jaden Hardaway got 16 minutes and led the way. Then you see 7, 5, 2, 1. I mean, you're not seeing these guys come off the bench. And I think, especially when these guys are in a groove, when you're getting so much from the starters, ride that hot hand and let them keep going and trust that those guys can make those plays. And it certainly paid off for the Tigers last year. And I hope, we talk so much really ever since Coach Hardaway took over that Coach Hardaway is very much, if things are working, he's going to stick with it. If things are not working, he's going to change it. So I'm hoping we see something similar Thursday night against East Carolina.
For FAU, that loss took them in the net from 32 to 37. It hurt them more than it helped the Tigers. The Tigers moved from 81 to 79. That net creep is going to be slow the rest of the way. But you could make a case, even with winning Thursday night at ECU, it could toggle back a spot or two.
Sure, yeah, and we've talked about that a lot throughout conference play of, you're not going to get that giant bump that you see in these power conferences when they go win, especially road games. You're going to see maybe 1 or 2 spot jump, but it's not going to be anything huge. And, that's just the way this conference has been. That's the way, the net is. And so we'll see, if the Tigers can continue to win games and put these wins together, I think that would be huge. And certainly it's big to be clicking at the right time come conference tournament.
Brian, let's break, and when we come back, we will talk about kind of that slow creep up in the net and kind of AAC scenarios.
Yeah, let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about the Tigers and the AAC.
Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Hey, this is Eli Savoy, and I've got a question for you. Who wants to pay full retail for a pre-owned car or truck when you can buy it at wholesale? Wholesale Unlimited on Pleasant View, right off Covington Pike, has an unlimited selection of super sharp pre-owned cars and trucks you can buy at the wholesale price. And right now, you can use your tax refund as all or part of a down payment and still just pay the wholesale price. Chevy Silverados, F-150s and Ram trucks, Tahoes, Explorers, Jeep Wranglers, Grand Cherokees, Renegades, a Cadillac SRX, Camaros, Mustang convertible, Hyundais. Check it out. Go to wucars.com or Google Wholesale Unlimited Memphis. This is great. Your money goes a long way when you can buy at the wholesale price, and tax refund time makes it even better. Go to Wholesale Unlimited on Pleasant View, just off Covington Pike, with guaranteed approval. Tell them you heard about it right here on Sports 56, and you can thank me later.
It's a new year, and Family Leisure has a new way to bring family and fun together. All you have to do is walk into Family Leisure and look around. All those floor model patio sets you see, those have got to go, so Family Leisure can make room for all the new sets coming. Get a wicker sofa set for under $2,000. Pool tables under $1,500. Theater seating for under $2,000. Hot tubs for $4,000 or just for yourself. If you really want to lounge, they're under $5,000. Need patio cushions? Get them as low as $25. Oh, have you seen those infrared steam saunas? Well, now they and the traditional saunas are 25% off. It may just be the first few weeks of 2024, but that doesn't mean you can't start getting ready for summer. 2 final things. Purchase your above-ground pool now and get first in line for installation, and take advantage of special financing that's available. Family Leisure, Whitten Road and I-40, bringing the family and the fun back together.
If you keep your money in a bank account, listen up. The banking system is once again under extreme stress, and after last year's banking crisis, the dangers are clearer than ever. Car loans are defaulting, credit card debt is ballooning, commercial real estate is on the brink of collapse. These aren't just red flags. They are the sounds of a financial ticking time bomb. But there is a safe and easy way to protect your financial future. Gold. Gold is outside the government's reach and safe from economic policies that jeopardize your wealth. Gold allows you to lock in today's value in the face of tomorrow's uncertainty. Don't wait for the next headline, crash, or bank run to act. Contact Noble Gold Investments today. As a bonus, they'll give you a free quarter-ounce gold standard coin as a thank you for opening a qualified account. Just use the promo code GOLD. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
We don't know who you are. If you're looking for dinner, we don't have any. But at Sunrise, we do have a particular set of skills. Skills we have acquired over the last several years. Skills that will make someone like you breakfast or lunch. If you come to Sunrise for breakfast or lunch, that will be the end of it. But if not, we will look for you. We will find you. And if you want bacon, we will grill it for you.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
So before the break, we were talking about kind of this conference as a whole and this kind of slow creep that you'll see. I know a lot of people were, I don't want to say discouraged, but were a little shocked that the Tigers only moved up a couple spots in both net and KenPom after that win against Florida Atlantic at home. But, Brett, you mentioned it before we went to a break. That's kind of what it's going to be like with East Carolina on Thursday. Even with a win, you probably won't move up a lot of spots. And I think it would be the same against UAB. I think the only one that you would get a real kind of significant jump would be if you go on the road to FAU and win that game at the very end of the season.
a week from today, the Tigers have to be 2-0, and it's going to feel really frustrating to watch this slower movement. It's going to be that way. The following week, I think, would be a little better. That'd just be 1-0, though, right?
Yeah, that's
the
right.
following week.
Yeah.
It's going to get down to the last second of Selection Sunday.
It 100% is.
It is, and the Tigers have gotten themselves in that spot. I mean, we're going to visit with Shelby Mast at 4:30. I have his bracket in front of me, and he's got the Tigers as others considered for at-large bids. But, the last 4 in, first 4 out, next 4 out, all that verbiage, nowhere to be seen. Yeah. Same today for Jerry Palm. Tomorrow we wait on Lenardi, but he gave his early preview, and it's the same thing. They're not going to pop up on that bracket again if they do until it matters.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I was looking at Shelby Mast's bracket. I was looking at Jerry Palm's, and you're right. I mean, they are not even really close in terms of being back on that in that bracket. And so you need kind of a big close to the regular season, and I think you need a massive push during that conference tournament. I mean, you said it earlier. I'm definitely with you. I think anything short of playing on Sunday, I think you don't feel very good going into Selection Sunday. I think if you lose on Sunday, you're kind of squirmy while you're watching it, and then obviously if you win, you're in. But it's certainly still an uphill battle.
And you can pick at some of the teams that are listed by all these bracketologists. We'll talk to Shelby about his and say, well, they're better than that. It will come down to losing at home to Rice was just a killer.
Yeah, no, and that was a huge one. I mean, you cannot have that. And now, I mean, Brett, we talk about it, and I'm sure, in the next couple of weeks, getting closer to Selection Sunday, we'll start taking a look at, resumes and this team and that team and blind resume talk. But one thing that over these last couple of years that the Tigers have been in the tournament, something that we've kind of bragged about, fans have bragged about, is, well, when you look at quad 3 games, quad 4 games, the Tigers are undefeated. They are, they're great in those matchups. Well, when the selection committee is looking at a couple of teams, and I wish I had one of them. I do have one of them pulled up. Let's go and look at one of the selections. If they're looking at Nebraska, as Nebraska and Memphis as 2 teams to get in, Nebraska in quad 3, Nebraska is 6-0. Quad 4, Nebraska is 7-0. Memphis has that quad 4 glaring loss sticking out, and if it comes down to that every single day of the week, they're going to go with the team that's undefeated in quad 3 and quad 4. It's just how it happens.
And especially when it's their metric. This isn't Torvik. This isn't Shelby. This isn't Lenardi. This is the NCAA. It's their metric that they use. Yeah. And look, all the fans can impeach and insult some that are in. But Nebraska, that's a very good example. They're at 41 and goose eggs in that 3 and 4 quad loss.
Yeah.
Well, that's just simple for people sitting there that aren't as passionate about it or maybe not as wedded to the Tigers as we are, and so many of our listeners, and they're just looking at those raw numbers. That's easy.
Yeah. No, it really is. And so, I mean, it's still an uphill battle, but I'm and we said it last week, and I'll say it again. If you can get on a roll here, find a way to go undefeated the rest of the way in the regular season, and you make that real push in the conference tournament, and you get to Sunday, and now you've won. I mean, I don't even know how many games in a row that would be if you go undefeated the rest of the way and then win in conference tournament. I do think there's a human element in there. I do think that's when you start seeing the Tigers in there. It doesn't hurt, and when you're winning and when more teams are talking about you, and let's face it, during conference schedule, once you get to Saturday or Sunday, there's only a handful of teams in the country still playing, so you'll be talked about, you'll be on the highlight shows and everything. That certainly helps a little bit when it comes to the selection committee. It doesn't hurt.
It could come down to this. Now, I think they have a lot of work to do, this team I'm going to mention in comparison to the Tigers. I think they have a lot of work to do, and I don't have a good feeling about it. I think they've kind of maxed out and kind of hit their ceiling. But what if What if that game way back in December between Ole Miss and Memphis was the difference in a bid?
Well, I mean, that's a really good point because we've seen, Ole Miss is that SEC schedule is starting to catch up with them, and they're kind of in that 11 type of area on the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go back and look, and you've seen what Ole Miss has done this year, you've seen what Memphis has done this year, and you go back, Ole Miss beat them at home. It very well could come down.
And they got goose eggs in quad 3 and 4.
That's right.
In the loss column.
And what 70?
And they won.
Yeah, 75 in net as well. I'm seeing here on I've got their thing pulled up on CBS. So, I mean, you can certainly make the argument that the Tigers have been better in quad 1.
You could even have this. Okay. You could have the Tigers become the automatic qualifier. And I said I'm not so sure that they still wouldn't be in Dayton, even winning everything at Dickies Arena. What if you had Ole Miss Memphis rematch in Dayton?
Whoa, that would be that'd be fun.
Kind of as the designated 11 seeds.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be I wouldn't love that, but in terms of I'd be nervous that entire week, but that'd certainly be fun around.
Wouldn't be nervous long. It'd either be Tuesday or Wednesday.
Well, that's a good point. It'd be a quick turnaround. So it's gonna be interesting to see what this team does going forward. Obviously, a big one on Thursday, road game. We've seen this team struggle on the road, but they should take care of East Carolina, and we'll talk more about that game as it gets closer. But we need to go ahead and wrap up our first hour, and when we come back, we'll talk some more college basketball. We'll talk a little bit of college football with our buddy David Cobb.
Hi, folks. Bob Burkheimer for Sunrise Buick GMC Truck. What a great time to buy a new or used car or truck and save money at Sunrise. The largest selection in over a year, over 500 new Buicks and GMCs to choose from, an $8 million used car inventory. See them all at sunrisememphis.com. Factory rebates up to $6,000 and Sunrise discounts high as $10,000. Immediate financing available with loans low as 0% on select models. Cars and trucks under $10,000. When it comes to selection and savings, it doesn't get any better than this, partner. Come on in and save some money at Sunrise. Coming to Pike, Wolf Chase, and Collierville.
If you've tried to buy a Rolex watch lately, you know how difficult it is. New models are in rare supply. Some jewelers put you on wait lists. Others make you buy their other jewelry at inflated prices just to be considered for a Rolex purchase. Well, that's all changed now that Genesis Diamonds has arrived. Genesis Diamonds is the premier dealer of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. People who come in are shocked to see Daytonas, Hulks, Submariners, Pepsis, Datejusts, all the hard-to-find Rolex watches ready to wear today. At Genesis, we've used our worldwide connections to find only the first luxury pre-owned Rolexes, immaculate, pristine watches, fairly priced with no strings attached, and with flexible financing options. So enough with the wait lists and the retail jeweler games. Get the Rolex of your dreams today at Genesis Diamonds. And if you already have a Rolex and are interested in trading up, we also have Rolex buyers on site every day. Just another example of how we're forever changing the jewelry landscape here. Genesis Diamonds, official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
East Memphis Ace Hardware is more than just a hardware store. It's really a customer service store. With 20 employees along with complete inventory of items, big to little, finding what you need is easy. Choosing from a complete selection of Big Green Egg as well as Traeger and Weber grills. And the Garden Center has everything for your yard. You can get glass cut, repair screens, even new keys with key fob programming. Tools, nuts, bolts, screws, you need it. East Memphis Ace Hardware has it. And they're just down the street at the corner of Quince and White Station.
Hi, this is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. Burst pipes can be real headaches, especially with the increasing deep freezes. But don't worry, Choate's has solutions by winterizing your home's plumbing pipes. Our smart water monitor and shutoff system detects leaks and can automatically shut off your water to prevent even bigger leaks. We guarantee your outside faucet won't ever freeze with our Freeze Miser upgrade. And don't forget about heat tape we can install for drains and water pipes, keeping them from freezing down to -40 degrees. Concerned about water quality? The Halo Whole Home Water Filtration System filters out pollutants, ensuring clean showers and pure drinking water for your family. For a free estimate on safeguarding your plumbing system or filtrating your water, give Choates a call at 347-8086. And remember, Choates, let our family serve your family.
It's time to get thunderstruck during Gossett Mitsubishi's spring sales event at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Ready to get 43 MPG Highway? Check out the 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage. We Gossett, $18,610 or $249 a month. Need extra room? 7-passenger seating in 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander SE, $33,605 or $399.99 a month. And Gossett Mitsubishi's got sophisticated styling and comfort in 2024 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, $31,200 or $449 a month. Plus, every Gossett Mitsubishi comes with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. That's Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, and 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we Gossett and Gossett Motor Cars.
Mirage RH005931 MSRP 19110, Outlander RZO 19512 MSRP 34605, Eclipse RZO 10625 MSRP 317, includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit dealer stock only.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Belting. They keep you moving.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's starting to crank up out here in the Midtown area, especially on 40 over here at Chelsea. It's not the worst we've ever seen it, but it will build even more so here in a few minutes southbound on 240 from, let's say, South Parkway down past Norris, 240 getting on to 385 Bill Morris Parkway. That's actually been in pretty good shape so far this afternoon. Let's keep up the good work. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, located 7525 Highway 64. They want you to know they are your full-service family-owned jewelry store right here in the Memphis area. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Joining Brian and Brett now on Sports Time is National College Football writer for CBS Sports, Memphis native and Tennessee grad, who you can find on Twitter X at David W. Cobb. It's David Cobb.
David Cobb joins us now to talk some college basketball and college football. David, thank you so much for joining us. I want to start off with the Tigers, their big win yesterday over FAU. And I think over these last two games, we had the bad week last week where they go out and lose to North Texas. They lose and really don't show up against SMU. But since then, a home win against Charlotte that they won very handedly, and now a home win against Florida Atlantic. What do those two games mean, and do you think this Tiger team can get this thing rolling going into the conference tournament?
Well, hello, guys. I think it at least gets them back into the stratosphere of, like, maybe there's a glimmer of hope for at-large. And I mean a glimmer. It is not a light at the end of the tunnel and, all we got to do is beat FAU on the road. No, you probably got to win out these last few in the league, and then you probably would at least have to make the AAC title game. But maybe it's back on the table now that you could be in at-large. Still don't trust this team completely, but obviously a huge win. I'm surprised that they're able to hold it together with everything they've gone through and with all the academic news breaking on Malcolm Dandridge, before the game. That's a pretty significant personnel loss and a pretty significant headline. Didn't derail them, though, so give them credit. They're still fighting. They're still playing. It's just I don't see anything more than a glimmer when it comes to their at-large hope.
David, do you think it's important or not important that this is not NCAA, this is your own compliance department leading this investigation?
Well, that's a great point, Brett. That is a great point because if you're snitching on yourself, it's got to be pretty bad, right? You don't turn yourself in unless there's something unless there's a lot of smoke there, right? And so yeah, that is significant. That's a major detail in all of this. This isn't the NCAA coming in and trying to take a scalpel to Memphis like they did with Wiseman or whatever you want to pick up on from over the years. This is, a self-reported issue. And, at the end of the day, going to class is still part of college basketball. This is the NIL era. This is the transfer portal era. Players are getting paid and all that, but, you still have to go to class, or you still at least have to put up a certain GPA to be academically eligible. And so if you're circumventing that, then that kind of cuts to what a university's identity is. So that's a major detail. That this is something that they are investigating internally, and it makes you wonder what's the next sort of headline going to be. on all this.
And the initial report was players when we thought it might be more suspensions for Sunday. It wasn't. It was just one, and it even alluded to other sports.
Yeah, you always wonder with something like this how wide ranging is it? How isolated was it? Who had knowledge of it? The first one that comes to mind is the North Carolina scandal from several years back involving basketball players. Sort of a phony program there that they were all enrolled in for athletic purposes. And, we all know that for these high-level athletes at major programs, there are certain academic disciplines that they are steered toward because it's not as rigorous as chemistry or biology if you're majoring in, Russian polka dance history or something, right? Yeah. It's a little bit easier than going through biology classes and algebra classes and everything. And so, that's always been the case. Like, we've always looked for shortcuts in athletics when it comes to keeping our guys eligible. And that's across the board at Memphis and every other place.
Could be anywhere tomorrow.
Yeah, it's everywhere. And but what is not everywhere is these detailed, maybe coordinated schemes of academic fraud. Like, a lot of institutions, they toe that line, and they've got a lot of academic advisors who work specifically with athletics to make sure those guys stay eligible, but they get right up to that line of maybe writing that paper for them, and then, at the end of the day, it's actually the player themselves who typed it out on the page, right? So they're fine, right? So so where's that line? And if the university feels that line was crossed, it's pretty serious.
Yeah. No, absolutely, and we'll have to wait and see. I know Penny Hardaway didn't want to talk much about it before the game, but he kind of said, I don't really know if he'll just be out for this game or out for the rest of the season, so it feels like it's going to be kind of a wait-and-see type of thing until we get more information. Well, David, I'll go ahead and ask you. It's kind of been the topic all around college basketball. I'm sure you've been asked by everybody about it since what happened on Saturday. Where do you stand on court stormings? Obviously, what happened with Kyle Filipowski was not a good scene, and seeing him limp off down the tunnel was not pretty. But where do you stand on this whole court storming controversy?
Maybe I'm in the minority here, but I love it. I love court storming. I don't love that Kyle Filipowski got hurt.
Right.
I don't love what happened to David Jones down at Tulane
No.
a few weeks ago. Don't love that. But I love the passion, the pageantry, the energy, the moment of court storming. It's that energy, that passion, that student fervor. It's what makes college sports. You take that you take that away. It's not, the students are still going to show up. They're still going to be loud. The atmosphere is still going to be great. But I love that moment, and I hope there's a way where we can kind of keep that a little bit. The SEC has tried to increase the fine. They have increased the fine significantly. You now pay the fine to the opposing school in the SEC. So LSU owes Kentucky $100,000 because of the court storming that happened at LSU a week or so ago. So there's certain deterrents that you can take, but they're not really working all that well as we're seeing in the SEC. But I do have one example in mind of where this was managed properly, and it was at Iowa State a few weeks back when they beat Kansas. And so instead of just the just all-out mob as soon as the buzzer sounded, they actually had a coordinated plan. They funneled all the students into a specific direction so they could really only get out single file, and that slowed them down. All the players were safely away from the mayhem. Iowa State still had that moment, but Kansas wasn't threatened, and nobody got hurt. And so, I don't know if we all need to go up to Iowa State and see how they did that, but I just hope there's a way that maybe we can model that and keep court storming and just make it a little bit safer.
Well, I love that you brought that up because I brought up earlier last week when Creighton beat UConn, and people were posting videos about it. Kind of the similar thing is the security was kind of funneling the students to the far side of the court, so by the time they got onto it, they could have kind of all of UConn's area blocked off so that the team could get off. That's where I kind of stand. I feel this is more security, Wake Forest security dropped the ball than it is an issue with court stormings.
Yeah, absolutely. And, because you're never going to be able to stop 1,000 or 1,500 mad, probably intoxicated, students from getting on the floor if that's what they want to do. you can threaten legal consequences, but good luck handcuffing 1,500 of them. If there's only 15 of your security guards.
Yeah.
And so you got to have a way to funnel them, and you got to communicate that in advance. You say, all right, we strongly discourage students from rushing the floor. Those who do could be subject to having their tickets banned. But if you do, here's where you're going to go. And, it's tough. And it's happened. It's been a hot topic even before Filipowski, because we saw Caitlin Clark get hit in a celebration on the women's side. We also saw Matt Painter, who rarely sounds off about anything, the Purdue head coach. He went off a few weeks ago because every time Purdue loses, they get court stormed because they're perpetually one of the top 5 teams in the country. And so the only time they lose is on the road. And whenever they do, it's a big deal for that opposing team. And so, if we get to a point where we completely eliminate it, I guess I'll survive, right? But I think there's a way to be smart about it, to protect the pageantry and the passion, and to just do it a little bit safer.
And David, earlier we were talking about it, and it's not many issues that I don't take a stand on, and I just couldn't get there with all the people so riled up about it all weekend. This morning I turned on the TV, and it was just, it was veins bulging out of people over it. And I'm just not there at all. And even Jay Bilas saying, that people needed to be arrested. Now, if somebody accosted someone and took a swing, assaulted someone, well, of course the law would apply. But as you mentioned, do you really want the look of 200 people handcuffed?
It's just soft. It's soft, and it kind of flies in the face of what college sports is all about. But we got to protect the players. I get that. We can't have players getting shoved and stuff like that. But is the answer to just ban it altogether outright? And how do you really go about enforcing that? What school, what conference wants to be the one to put their own students in handcuffs? That's just, it's a great marketing opportunity. Honestly, that's what it comes down to for these athletic departments, because they can hang up a photo of the court being stormed or the field being stormed.
It's in every building.
You saw it on the football side a couple of years ago at Tennessee. They beat Alabama, and the Tennessee president, Randy Boyd, says, $100,000, we'll pay that every time.
Every time.
And that scene on the field at Neyland Stadium after they beat Alabama, that was worth more monetarily, just the image of that moment. That image was worth millions.
And the fireworks, the choreography at Neyland that day was something to behold. They were ready to hit the celebration button, and they did. And David, and you kind of juxtapose court storming, and especially at a place like at Duke, where I would say there's some kind of protest daily in front of the administration building over some subject matter worldwide. We're not calling for those people to be arrested.
Right. Yeah, it's a college campus, right? You kind of got to let the students rule the roost a little bit. That's what college is for. So I don't know if I like expelling or arresting or stripping the tickets of students who storm the court. I'm not sure that's the direction we want to go on college campuses. Then it bleeds over into other stuff. Without the student tuition, without the student passion, there is no court. There is no basketball program. There is no
there was some chancellor recently that tweeted, showed him out, he or she out on the court for some court storming. Where was that? There was somebody recently that there was somebody in charge out there doing it.
Yeah, you're right. And it is, I was never a part of a court storming because I was always in the press row or press box or whatever, but it would have been fun, right? Sure. I would have done it. I would have been right there with them. So I get it.
I've been a part of one, and I wasn't primary to it, but when my freshman year, Arkansas upset Texas, and everybody ran out on the field. Goalpost came down of one end. I don't think they ever got to the north end zone. South end zone came down, and the only court storming I was ever a part of, it wasn't necessarily a storming. It was kind of a court milling around, celebrating. after Arkansas beat Arkansas State
How about that?
in an NIT game.
Wow, electric.
You know what? I just thought of this. I was at the Memphis Ole Miss game as a fan in football about 7 years ago when Paxton Lynch.
What a game.
And those guys beat Ole Miss. And I don't want to call it a field storming, but
No, it was not. But it was a field milling about celebrating.
Sure.
Yes, and I was among them. And I'm not even like, y'all know me. I mean, I went to Tennessee, and I'm
You jumped in on the fun.
Love it.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I think I was still covering outdoor recreation for the Chattanooga Times Free Press. So, like, I didn't have, I was just there. But anyway, I made my way onto the field, and I was like, well, sure, heck yeah, let's do it, But anyway, I hope we preserve the passion, the things that make college sports special, and find a way to do it safely, because I do understand, like, the safety concerns and all this, but I just think the energy of that we're going to devote to this, I'm sure, over the next several months, it would be better served just coming up with a solid exit strategy for the team to get off the field or off the court. And, that's what I think is probably the right move.
And this year in Oxford, it was full rushing the field. Goalpost didn't come down, but full rushing the field after Ole Miss defeated LSU, and LSU Twitter and many were, act like you've been there before. And I said it that Monday, Bryant, 2 of the last 5 times Ole Miss has been to Baton Rouge, there's been the milling about, celebrating on the field, but not goalposts coming down.
Right.
2 of the last 5 times, and then they want to lecture somebody about, well, why are you acting like you're so happy?
Yeah, I know. I love it. Most of the time, it goes fine. But you also got to understand, if you're a student, you have to understand that there is a risk involved. If the goalpost falls on you, you could be severely injured. If you trip on your way out of the student section and you get trampled, you could be severely injured doing that. So it's a rush the field, rush the court at your own risk. And I think most college students are going to continue to take that risk.
Who are your top 4 teams right now, David?
Yeah, well, the only problem is trying to figure out who number 4 is. And you can
like
put
a
first,
90-way tie for 4th?
Right. Yeah, exactly. You can put whoever you want in that first 3 in whatever order. It's Houston, Purdue, UConn, in whichever order. I think I would go at the moment Houston, UConn, Purdue, and 4 totally up for grabs. Could be North Carolina, could be Tennessee. There's about 10 other schools that have a realistic case to be considered there. Arizona could end up there. That battle for that 4th number 1 seed, it's going to be interesting these next few weeks.
Yeah, no, it absolutely will be. I want to go back to the Duke-Wake Forest game for a second, because I hate that the court storming happened, because it took away from such a great game and such a great win for Wake Forest. This is a team that has been on the bubble, kind of outside looking in for the most of these last couple of months, and it's really been, they win the games they're supposed to win, but when they go up against one of these, higher-level teams that could get them onto the right side with a win, they just can't come up with it. Well, they finally got that against Duke. So kind of a 2-part question here. One, for Wake Forest, where do they sit right now for you in terms of a tournament team? And then secondly, what have you made of what Hunter Salas has done this year? I mean, coming from Gonzaga, only averaging, 4.5 points per game last year, and now is just unbelievable for this Wake Forest team. I mean, he has been a difference maker for that group.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's an interesting story to be done that I will probably do if Gonzaga ends up missing the NCAA tournament for the first time in a quarter century under Mark Few, because Hunter Salas was there. He was a reserve. He didn't get to play much. He transferred. Same thing happened with Efton Reed, who is now at Wake Forest. Yeah. He was at Gonzaga, didn't play much behind Drew Timme. He transferred out. And then they had another kid, Dominique Harris, who was on the team last year. He barely played. Really good, talented scholarship player. He transferred to Loyola Marymount, and he's one of the best players there now. So there's 3 really high-quality rotation players now elsewhere in the country who could be playing for Gonzaga, but they aren't, and it's at a time when Gonzaga is really struggling with depth. One of the least deep teams in the country, and that's hurt them this year, and it's got them at risk of missing the NCAA tournament. And so I don't know if you blame Mark Few for that. they've had some injuries and some personnel stuff that went, kind of a way they might not have expected. But, that hurts them. They lost some guys that they could really use this year. And, Salas has been amazing at Wake Forest. And I think Wake is probably going to get in because they're taking care of business against the lesser teams. And so you're not seeing them drop games against Boston College. You're not seeing them drop games against Miami and teams of that caliber this season. And so the win over Duke is huge for them because it finally gives them that victory to hang their hat on. They're going to be one of those teams that gets into the tournament as like an 8 seed or a 9 seed, and they're going to be really dangerous. And they're going to be somebody that nobody wants to see in a potential second-round game.
David, I don't know that enough people are talking and writing about it. And I know just if you did it, it would set off alarms at a lot of places. But I think it's certainly in play. Either this year or next year could be the last of the fabled ACC basketball tournaments that we really know of with all these players involved, with North Carolina, Virginia, Clemson, North Carolina State, Florida State as part of the ACC. I don't see any way spring of 26 all those teams are still a part of the ACC tournament.
Yeah, you know what? It would be a shame if realignment broke up the Tobacco Road rivalry. I mean, that would be awful. Like we saw Bedlam played in basketball for the last time over the weekend, Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. There's no intent as of now for those teams to continue playing in basketball. Surely, if the ACC were to break up and splinter, and North Carolina ended up in the high dollar league and Duke got left behind, surely those athletic directors at those two schools would figure out a way to keep playing, right? But even if Duke and North Carolina get broken up and they keep playing as non-conference opponents, you wouldn't see them in the ACC tournament. You would only see them once a year, whereas now you get it 3 times a year, oftentimes with the ACC tournament. So, yeah, there could be some real nasty consequences on the basketball side if the ACC when the ACC kind of gets hit with the realignment wave.
Over the weekend, we saw another situation involving Juwan Howard where he was having to be held back by his players from going after an official, the player being one that is suspended for only road games, which is always hilarious to bring up. But we've heard the talk about Juwan Howard and maybe his time coming to an end at Michigan. There's now starting to become rumors in Indiana about them moving on from Mike Woodson. Do you think we could have the possibility this offseason where Michigan, Ohio State, and Indiana are all looking for a new men's basketball coach?
Ooh, buddy, yeah, I think so. Wow. I will say the remarks that I've seen from Ward Manuel, the athletic director at Michigan, makes it seem like he is real lukewarm about making a basketball change right now.
Yeah.
With everything they're going through on the football side, losing Jim Harbaugh. And Juwan Howard is the type of coach who's going to get an extra year because of who he is, much like Patrick Ewing got an extra year at Georgetown when it was very clear that the thing was going down fast. He's just that guy at that university. And so I think within that community, you can justify giving him another year. And for that matter, you can make the same case for Mike Woodson. But where it gets interesting, especially with Indiana, is Dusty May, right? Because he is the former Bob Knight manager, the rising star in the profession. A lot of smoke around him, maybe looking to jump this cycle. And if Ohio State gets on the phone with Dusty May and you're Indiana and you're sitting there thinking, well, we might be firing Mike Woodson next year, but if Dusty May's already at Ohio State, he ain't leaving Ohio State to go to Indiana. So do you go ahead and make a move on Woodson now because the coach you really want is only going to be available now? So that's a tricky situation for that administration to navigate. And then, with Michigan, I don't know what the appetite's going to be, but based off the performance of the program and some of the off-court stuff with Juwan, you would have no trouble justifying a move there or making a change.
No, not at all.
But what if Indiana's calculus is this? Okay, we want Dusty May, but we're not going to move that fast on him because we also may have Chris Beard sitting out there.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty bullish on the fact that I believe there will be at least one and likely two high-profile SEC coaches who jump this cycle. We've seen Bruce Pearl. He was talking to our Matt Norlander last weekend about, would he be content to finish his career at Auburn? Yes, absolutely. Is he committing to doing that? No, he's not. And would Pearl look to jump? Would Nate Oates look to jump and get somewhere closer to his geographic comfort zone?
Eric Musselman.
Like a Musselman, I think, has got to be fed up with some of the stuff that's happened at Arkansas in recent months, and he might want to press reset. So, yeah, this coaching cycle is going to be interesting. And you bring up Chris Beard. I mean, yeah, he could be somebody to watch for too. I mean, clearly the man can coach. Ole Miss has proven that you can hire him, and the backlash won't be so intense that it's just crippling or anything. So, yeah, I kind of think we could see a couple of SEC coaches make a jump and go somewhere else.
Wow.
And Nate, I think people would make a call to Nate Oates.
Sure.
Yeah, why not? I mean, he's done an incredible job at Alabama, and another job that's interesting to keep an eye on here. Like, we're talking about these guys maybe being candidates for Ohio State. Well, let's say, for instance, Ohio State goes out and gets Mick Cronin, who has deep ties in the state of Ohio. Well, then that opens the UCLA job. Yeah. And that one could be of interest to a Nate Oates or to a Eric Musselman, or I kind of have a hard time seeing Bruce Pearl in LA, but maybe that works. I don't know. So yeah, the dominoes could get interesting on the basketball side after what was also a very active carousel on the football side.
Yeah, it could be a very, very busy offseason. Well, David, as always, thanks so much for joining us. We'll do it again next week. We'll be 1 week closer to Selection Sunday.
That's right. Looking forward to it, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, David.
David Cobb with us every Monday talking college football and college basketball. And it's that time of year, and the coaching carousel, it'll start spinning. Everybody's going to say, Brian, they're fine until that loss that eliminates them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Then that's when it gets real. It gets real at Jason's Deli year-round, and for any of your maybe March Madness get-togethers, fun times you're going to have, keep Jason's Deli in mind for all the catering needs, whether it's 5 or 5,000. They've got you covered. Dining in, to-go, or delivery, wholesome food forever. It's a family thing at Jason's Deli. Over 200 Memphis area associates at all these great locations. A location, I promise you, very close to wherever you are right now. Cordova, Olive Branch, Ridgeway Road, and one over by the U of M at Poplar and Highland. Healthy, first franchise in the nation to be trans fat free. Jason's Deli, all about choice, regardless if you seek a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids meals. If you'd like to invent your own via the Build Your Own selection, you will be delighted at Jason's Deli. And all those salads you can order off the menu, like the Mesa chicken salad, the Big Chef salad, the taco salad, my favorite, or go to the salad bar where you can prepare it however you would like. Over 30 items to choose from on the salad bar, all the soups, the meats, the breads, the spreads, the cheeses, all good and good for you. Catering anytime, anywhere, and complimentary ice cream at all the locations. Ridgeway Road across from MUS, Poplar and Highland by the U of M, Olive Branch, and Cordova. Check them out online as well at jasonsdeli.com.
Well, let's get to a break. When we come back, we're going to be talking some bracketology with Shelby Mass from bracketwag.com.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
When you're hunting for small game or big game or thinking of selling your home, Think about Sheldon Rosengarten and you Mallory.
That's right, Sheldon. We're with Mark Spensdorf Realtors, and while I'm often successful when I go hunting, I heard you're such a lousy golfer they've banned you from some courses.
Very funny, you. I may be a horrible golfer, but I have a highly successful strategic marketing program with the famous Shellbucks option that takes up most of my practice time. My clients would much rather see me sell their home than hit a hole-in-one.
Sheldon, you're normally about 5 strokes away from a hole-in-one. That's on a par 3.
Yeah. Remember, don't tee off with any agent. Talk to 2 or 3 and let you, Mallory, and me be one of them. Remember what people often say, when you want the job done, call Sheldon. And Mallory Moves Memphis. That's Sheldon Rosengarten and you, Mallory, at 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com. Do it now, 682-1868 or memphisrelocate.com.
O'Reilly! You need parts? O'Reilly Auto Parts has parts. Need them fast? We've got fast. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
They say you can't pick the best barbecue in Memphis.
Who is they?
The people that say things.
Like what?
Well, that you can't pick the best barbecue in Memphis.
Well, that's ridiculous. It's Central Barbecue.
Well, I'm telling you, these people said that you can't even say Central Barbecue is the best barbecue in Memphis.
But it is. There's no better slow smoked, perfectly cooked barbecue in Memphis or anywhere else.
Look, I'm just saying that they say.
What else do they say?
Well, that the earth is flat.
You have got to get off of social media.
That's what they say as well.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's been quiet so far out here on all the major outbound routes now. As far as accidents, we expect it to get a little bit busier here in a few minutes through the Midtown area on 240 going southbound, passing South Parkway, still not too bad. On 240 east from, let's say, Mill Branch all the way out to 385. A little bit of traffic coming off 240 onto Lamar as that traffic increases out towards the Olive Branch area. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, located 7525 Highway 64, is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in the Memphis area. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and joining us now to talk bracketology, Shelby Mast from BracketWag.com joins us now. Shelby, thanks for joining us again, and I want to start off with the Tigers. It still seems like an uphill battle for them, but how much, if any, did that win over FAU help yesterday, and what do they need to do, the Tigers that is, to get back into that conversation on the bubble for an at-large bid, or is it too late? Has that ship sailed for the Tigers?
I kind of think it might have already sailed for that, but they're still alive in the conversation. That was a nice win yesterday, but again, it was Florida Atlantic, and they've just been a little above average. Mm-hmm. They've got that one Arizona win on the resume, and that was a real nice one. But they've also got home losses to Bryant and a couple others. So it was a good win, a needed win, but it wasn't a world beat.
Your last 4 in, Shelby, you have Wake Forest, Gonzaga, Colorado, and Ole Miss, and that would put Ole Miss in Dayton in an 11 versus 11 game in Dayton against Wake Forest. Gonzaga and Colorado would play the next night in Gonzaga, or the first night. That would be the games in Dayton. If Gonzaga's close, they're in. They've done too much in that tournament through the years. I think if they can stay right there, close to the conversation, they're in, and that win at Rupp Arena sure not hurting.
It's not hurting, and another thing that works in their favor, they don't need to take any more bad losses. They've only got 2 regular season games left, and one of those is against St. Mary's, which would not be that bad of a loss. So get past the other one, which they should, and then go into the tournament and get to the finals of that tournament. I think they've got a shot, but if they lose 3 to St. Mary's, it might be tough.
Shelby, I was looking at some of the brackets for tournaments that start mid to later part of next week. It's mostly what we call one-bid leagues, but I like how they do it, and I want to say in the Ohio Valley Conference tournament, they have their 1 and 2 seeds. They're already in the 2 semifinal games. They bracket all the way to there. I wish more conferences and some of the bigger conferences would yield to and give a little more credit for teams that did all the work from January 3rd to now, instead of just throwing them out there to really do damage and hurt themselves in their conference tournament.
Yeah, I hate when a team has had a really good year, 4 or 5 losses, and they get upset first round. Well, used to, as of last year, they would at least go to the NIT, but the NCAA has changed that rule. They're not automatically going. So those schools, that if that happens, may not be playing postseason basketball.
Yeah, they might not. I'm curious for you, looking at your teams that you have others considered for an at-large. You've got St. John's as that first team there. They're coming off of a big win yesterday at home against Creighton. Only 3 games left for them. The next one being Butler, which would be a quad 1 win. But then those other 2, DePaul and Georgetown, the bottom 2 teams in the Big East. What does St. John's need to do to get in position to try to make the tournament?
I think they need to win the last 3 games. They definitely can't lose to DePaul or Georgetown.
Right.
That's in discussion. But do that, and then maybe win a couple in the tournament, and they're going to be right there watching, curious on Selection Sunday.
Yeah.
Shelby, when I look at your next 4 out, or first 4 out rather, it's Villanova, Utah, Texas A&M, and New Mexico. Hadn't A&M just really done it to themselves?
Yeah. I watched part of that game Saturday against Tennessee, and they just reminded me of a team that would rather have been anywhere else but there. Here's a chance to get a big win on the road. Everybody's watching prime time, and you lose by 35. That's embarrassing, and I think that might have put the nail in the coffin.
No, I'm with you. Your number 1 overall seeds, you've got UConn, Purdue, Houston, and then your 4th is Arizona. How tough is it for you for that 4th spot? I know I've heard a lot of people talking about, obviously, you know who those top 3 teams are. 4 is kind of up in the air. Are you super solid on Arizona, or could you make the case for other teams to have that last spot as a 1 seed?
I could definitely make the case for North Carolina with all their road wins.
Yeah.
But the thing that got me, the reason I'm keeping them, even with a home loss to Washington State, who's a very good team, the committee last week when they had their reveal said there was no discussion among the top 4 teams. Those were the top 4 in order. No one else was considered. So if there was that much of a gap, 1 loss to a really good team, for me, isn't enough to knock them down.
That's a good point.
Shelby, UConn with the chance to repeat, hadn't had that since Florida, 06-07. I keep a running list, and I do a college football and a college basketball kind of all-time top 20, and I have it since 1972. That's 52 years ago. But that's also, and the reason why I use 72 is, I didn't want to go back to the 2 short shorts and basically the peach basket. And in 72, we had freshman eligibility. At most places by then, real integration was taking hold. So that's kind of why I used it since then. Look, I could back it up even more to 74, 75 even, but I use 72. Let's just say I'm right on my list. I have North Carolina 1 all time, Duke 2, Kentucky 3, UCLA 4, and I have UConn 5. If UConn went back-to-back, let's just say I'm right on UCLA at 4 and Kentucky at 3, shouldn't UConn go past Kentucky and UCLA?
I think so.
I do too.
6 titles in 21 years. That's
3 different coaches.
3 different coaches, and they've done them, not all of them has been as dominant, but they've been pretty dominant last year in the tournament, and this whole season they've been pretty dominant. So I think that's a fair assessment.
I know a lot of Kentucky fans. Hey, you're leaving out all Adolph Rupp. Well, yeah, I did, and that the integration aspect to that really comes into it with him in starting in '72. I think he might actually still been there in '72. It's close anyway. In UCLA, I know I'm leaving out a lot of John Wooden, but the tournament's really changed since then. But 52 years is a big sample size, and whether UConn did it in the last 30 years or not, they did it.
Right, they did it. In the tournament back then, the way I understand it, UCLA and the really good teams only really had to play one or two games.
That's it. And a lot of times for UCLA, it was either in Los Angeles or in San Diego.
Right, so it wasn't a true tournament like we're used to. For me, it would be 85 when they expanded to 64. I think that's when it was. Mm-hmm. But that's when the tournament really started gaining attention. But, yeah, 1972, that's a good starting point.
Yeah. Talking to Shelby Mast from BracketWag.com. He joins us every Monday to talk bracketology. Big game tonight in the Big 12, TCU and Baylor. Right now you have Baylor on the 3 line, TCU on the 8. Right now TCU favored at home. What would a win for TCU tonight at home against Baylor do? Would that move them up to the 7 line for you?
It possibly could. It would probably move Baylor down a line also because that's 3 losses in a row.
Yeah.
Granted, all good teams, but still, 3 in a row. They're a good team, and I think TCU, that would pretty much assure them a spot in the tournament. I think they're set already, but if they were to lose their last 4, they might be a little nervous on Selection Sunday, but this win tonight would be big.
Shelby, were you at the Houston-Baylor game Saturday?
I was. That was fun.
Wow. That was fun.
It looked at love Shed, love Kelvin Sampson. If finally for Houston to win it, had 5 slam-a-jam, have had good teams the last few years under Kelvin Sampson. If they finally won it year 1 of the Big 12, I think that would make it even more special for them.
Oh, yeah, and I don't know what the national perception was, but for me, thinking they're going from good in the AAC to the Big 12, they're going to kind of get swallowed up. They'll still have a nice year, but finish 5th or 6th, that gets them in the tournament. But, man, they just kept it going from last year. They're just too good. And seeing them in person, how they got 15 to 20 arms moving on defense, and it's hard to get and score on them.
Yeah, no, it's been really impressive to see them make this transition to the Big 12. Kentucky, a lot of talk about them over the weekend with what they did against Alabama, a 117-95 win for them. It looks like you go back to those 2 wins against Ole Miss and Auburn. It looked like they maybe turned a corner defensively. They can put up 100 points against Alabama, even though not a very good Alabama defense. You have them on the 5 line right now. What do you think with only 4 games left for John Calipari's team? What do you think about this Kentucky team going into March?
They're looking better, and they seem to be 100% healthy. If they can maintain that, they're going to be a team to really watch out for when the tournament starts. I could see them possibly moving to the 4 line, but I'm comfortable with them on the 5 line. And but they're looking better and better.
Yeah. Well, Shelby, always a ton of fun catching up and checking in on your latest bracket. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll do it again next week.
Get some sleep, Shelby.
Yeah, please.
I'm going to try.
It's not overrated.
No. Thanks, Shelby.
Thank you, Shelby.
Shelby Mast from BracketWag.com joins us every single week to talk about his most recent bracket.
Bryant, you know these top 20s that I keep for football and college basketball.
Oh, yeah.
And again, and I don't want to move I'm sure not moving backwards for the reasons I mentioned, freshman eligibility, real integration. And I don't want to move into, say, 1980 on, right. Kind of CBS being the the home of the Final Four on, because that knocks out the Tigers in 73.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
And I don't have the Tigers in my all-time top 20. I have them as notables omitted, and if you move 73 out, it would really harm them.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty good starting point. Maybe I need to move it back a year or two, but I don't want to. You know who UConn is?
Who?
UConn is the Miami of college basketball. What Miami did it in that shorter burst. They did it over 3 coaches.
Oh, wow.
That's what UConn's become, especially if they win it this year. That's what they've done.
Wow, that's a really good comparison.
And I've got Miami 4 in football.
Yeah, wow. So, no, that's a really good – and speaking of 3 different coaches at UConn, one of those coaches that won at UConn we can see tonight at FedEx Forum against the Grizzlies and Kevin Ollie now the interim coach.
I think me hanging on to UCLA in my 4 spot is I can talk all that letting go before 1972. I can't. Right. I can't let go of Alcindor, Wicks, and even Walton in 72 and 73, just inside. But really in the modern era, UCLA's just won it once.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point. I mean, it's been, especially this season, been disappointing at UCLA and kind of
been a lot of disappointing.
Yeah, over the last couple of years, it's been pretty disappointing out there. So now I think where you've got it set up, I think you've got a good starting point, and very impressive list for sure. But let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
You've heard of James Gaddis Jewelers, but have you heard what they've done lately? Everything. A tremendous selection of diamonds and jewels, gold, silver, and much more. Lots of watches, tons of custom-made jewelry, fine gemstones, bracelets, necklaces, so many choices. Romantics will love the one-of-a-kind estate and vintage jewelry. James Gaddis has experts to help you with wedding and engagement rings, plus 2 repair experts for fine watches and jewelry. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis Jewelers at 4900 Poplar.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. If you need a new roof for your home or business, we hope to hear from you and will work hard to earn your business. We are experts and certified in residential and commercial roofing, siding, and gutter installation. I have been serving the Memphis area for over 20 years, and now with 2 of my sons working with me, we plan to be here for years to come. So if you need a roof, please give us a call. On a personal note, what a great time it is to be a Memphis sports fan. With the Grizzlies and the Redbirds and 901 FC, not to mention Tigers football and basketball, it's going to be a fun year. Thanks to Coach Silverfield and Coach Hardaway and their staffs for their dedication to the student and athletes, the University of Memphis, the City of Memphis, and us fans. Five Ash Roof Services, a proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your buddy Johnny Radio. I'm here with Mark, the owner of Dyer's, out in Collierville's historic town square, where they've been cooking up them burgers since 1912, the old-fashioned way. Mark, what's going on in life? I see you got your 4 kids with you. What do they love about Dyer's?
Man, they love everything about Dyer's. They love all the great food that we serve, and they really like eating our good food and watching some of their favorite sports.
Braden, what do you like at Dyer's?
I like a bacon burger with fries, a milkshake, and with a Tigers game in the background.
Carter, who's your favorite football team?
The Carolina Panthers, and just with some macaroni with that sounds amazing.
My man Beckham, what's your favorite food over at Dyer's?
We like the double cheeseballs.
Kinley, what is your favorite dish over at Dyer's?
Daddy's cheeseburgers and the Dallas Cowboys game in the background.
Just remember, everybody, bring your family, bring your friends, bring your team out and eat at our place.
So head on over to Dyer's in Collierville's historic town square.
Hey, this is Eli Savoy, and I've got a question for you. Who wants to pay full retail for a pre-owned car or truck when you can buy it at wholesale? Wholesale Unlimited on Pleasant View, right off Covington Pike, has an unlimited selection of super sharp pre-owned cars and trucks you can buy at the wholesale price. And right now, you can use your tax refund as all or part of a down payment and still just pay the wholesale price. Chevy Silverados, F-150s and Ram trucks, Tahoes, Explorers, Jeep Wranglers, Grand Cherokees, Renegades, a Cadillac SRX, Camaros, Mustang convertible, Hyundais. Check it out. Go to wucars.com or Google Wholesale Unlimited Memphis. This is great. Your money goes a long way when you can buy at the wholesale price, and tax refund time makes it even better. Go to Wholesale Unlimited on Pleasant View, just off Covington Pike, with guaranteed approval. Tell them you heard about it right here on Sports 56, and you can thank me later.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Everyone needs protection, whether you're on the field or on the road, so make sure you have the best. Bob Simpson State Farm Insurance can buckle you up with auto insurance, can back you up with life and health insurance, cover your business whether it's starting, growing, or maturing, and don't forget to insure your home, no matter if you're an owner or a renter. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call Bob Simpson today at 901-381-1233 or go online and get a free quote at bobsimpson.org. Stay protected with your good neighbor, Bob Simpson.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, there's a couple of different directions I could go for my big number today, but I think I'm going to go with the number 5.
Okay.
All right? Kind of a small number, but a big number. And it, just to warn everybody, it's a hockey big number today, but I think everyone's going to like this one. Matt Rimp, he is a rookie for the New York Rangers, and he's played 5 games in his career. 5 games this season, 5 games in his career. 1 goal, 1 assist. You know, not bad for 5 games, but that is not where this big number is going. Matt Rimp, career ice time. This was from a couple days ago. Matt Rimp, career ice time, 9 minutes and 56 seconds. Matt Rimp, career penalty minutes, 27. He already has 27
He's a brawler.
penalty minutes. He just cannot turn down a fight. He's gotten into a couple already that have made Sports Center big fights. He's a big
Does
guy.
he win the fights?
He does. He's like 6'7", 6'8".
Dang,
big
he's a
guy.
big hockey player.
Yeah, don't mess with him.
Dang.
Guys on his teammates are coming out and saying, like, if something happens, we know that he's just gonna go, like, jump in and stick up for everybody. He's a rookie. Like, this is not something that
You know what we
happens.
used to call that in hockey?
An enforcer.
No, a goon.
Oh, a goon. Well, but that's Brett. He's like.
Can
not,
we say goon anymore?
I think you can.
But he is not rimpy. I'm being corrected by hockey people. I didn't know we had hockey people listening.
Way to go.
Rimpy. But I mean, this guy, he's like 6'7", 6'8", and just
Man,
loves
those
to
two
fight.
hockey fans, thank you for your
Not
support.
really even an enforcer or
thank you.
anything. Just a guy that likes to cut it up and drop the gloves. I love it.
So he's a tough guy. Where's he from?
That's a great question. He is from Calgary, Canadian. Oh, the Canadians love to drop the gloves.
They do. For the nicest people on earth, they really like to fight, don't they?
Yeah, well, you know, you can only be so nice, Brett.
But on the rink, it's
That's
loud. My big number is 42. Khalif Battle on Saturday for Arkansas had 42 points in Arkansas's win over Missouri. He did it on 15 field goal attempts. Ooh. And while playing, he had 0 turnovers.
Wow.
Mizzou's really bad, but still, that's a performance. It's not a comparison to the Tigers, but in kind of getting hot, maybe too little too late, if Arkansas can win tomorrow night against Vandy and somehow get into that 10th spot where they dodge Wednesday, They would play the 7 on Thursday that looks to be somebody like maybe LSU or Mississippi State. They could get to Friday.
Yeah. No, they really could. I mean, they've got the players for it. It
Yeah.
just has not meshed this year. I mean, they've
That's
got
right.
good players, but no, that Missouri team is not good.
42 points on 15
Crazy.
field goals.
That's crazy.
While committing 0 turnovers.
That's crazy. No, that is a really, really good big number. And
Arkansas Vandy tomorrow night,
Yep.
then at Kentucky. That's a loss. Home against LSU, at Bama. Probably 2 losses left.
Yeah, probably 2, but I saw an updated tournament bracket, and you just kind of laid it out. I mean, there is a way for them to make, to go to Nashville and win a couple games.
Everybody's trying to dream that impossible dream right now.
Sure. I mean, it's everybody, and it just rarely ever happens.
Purdue, you know what they're dreaming of? Don't get knocked out in the first round.
That's right. just win a game, and then maybe lose, and then you can get some rest before you lock up that number 1 seed. But no, we're getting closer and closer, and I mean some tournaments start next week, so it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to get more day baseball, which is always a ton of fun. But we need to go ahead and wrap up this hour and get to a break. We talked a lot of college basketball today, but the Grizzlies, they're back in action tonight at home against the Brooklyn Nets. Kevin Ollie, the new interim head coach in Brooklyn, will be in town against the Grizzlies. So let's get to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk a ton of Grizzlies with Michael Cole from the Commercial Appeal.
If you own a business, you know Luttrell Belting keeps you moving. Luttrell has cost-effective belts, conveyor components, and 24/7 on-site service to keep you operating smoothly. Text or just a phone call away at 800-441-8946 or online at LuttrellBelting.com. Luttrell's Memphis plant stocks belting in nearly every size and finish, and if they don't have it, they'll make it. From ordering to selection, fabrication, and installation, your Luttrell sales rep is there for you. Luttrell Belting keeps you moving.
It's leap year, so jump into big savings at Gossett Kia on the Pike. New 2024 Kia Forte LXS gets 41 MPG, $239 a month, $27.99 due at signing. How about 7-passenger seating? Get 2023 Kia Sorento LX, $319 a month, $34.99 due at signing. 2024 Kia Telluride LX, $459 a month, $34.99 due at signing. All 36-month lease, and don't forget, every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. So call Bobby J to put you in a new Kia today. That's Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online anytime at KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 650 acquisition fee, Forte RE722-812, MSRP 21,590, Sorrento PG 242710, MSRP 33010, Telluride RG 462-822, MSRP 38705. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/29/24 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague-certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year, no-dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders' team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Call me, 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 375-1717.
For the latest from the world of golf, tune in every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 for the Golf Shop Radio Show, presented by PlayGolfMyrtleBeach.com, the golf capital of the world. Hosts Mark Greenhelge and Matt Blanchard talk golf from tee to green and everything in between. If you like golf, you're going to love Golf Shop Radio. Before you tee up, drop on in. Welcome to the Golf Shop here on Sports 56. Real sports talk.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. T-Dot's on the scene of an accident in South Memphis right now. It's going to be on 55 southbound right at Winchester. Really slowing down that traffic now between Brooks and Winchester on 55 southbound here in South Memphis on the scene of this accident. T-Dot's trying to move the cars right now. It's picked up with more volume on 240 East getting on to Billmore's Parkway. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and joining us now to talk some Grizzlies, with the Grizzlies back in action tonight at home. DeMichael Cole, the beat writer for the Grizzlies over at the Commercial Appeal, joins us now. DeMichael, thanks so much for joining us. A lot to get to. Game tonight, and we'll definitely talk about that in a second. But last week, we talked about kind of this discussion that has really taken over most of this city about what the Grizzlies should do in terms of these injured players that are getting close to returning. Should they play them? Should they just sit them the rest of the season? And then later in the week, we got kind of an update from the Grizzlies PR. Desmond Bane expected to return to play within the next 3 to 5 weeks, while Marcus Smart will be reevaluated in 3 weeks. Do you expect that we see either of these guys return to the court this year?
I've kind of had a similar stance on this one in terms of I think that according to that timeline and what we've just said up to this point, Desmond Bane is the further ahead of the two, and he's the one where I think we could see him at some point this season. Marcus Smart feels a little bit less likely, but all things considered, he has not been ruled out. But yeah, I do think, you at least want to try to see one of them, if not both. Not for the point of stringing together some wins or whatever it may be, but you want to see what these other young guys who are kind of auditioning for the roster next season look like alongside of those guys.
Yeah, DeMichael, I've said consistently through all this, I think I can argue a pretty strong case for doing either thing, for either side of this. I don't like that. I like making a decision. Of course, we know if they do play them and they were to get hurt again, the blistering criticism the front office would take, and I don't think that would be fair. One of the biggest, most compelling things I could argue is for all these home games that remain for these great fans that had about 17,000 in the house on Friday night. I know it was the Clippers, probably different than that tonight for Brooklyn. A lot of tickets pre-sold. I could argue for them, but I think those same fans would argue, no, don't accommodate me. I want to be in a good position this time a year from now, and we can't take any more injuries.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough spot to be in, right? Like
it really is.
And when you think about it, this is going to be a year where I feel like we'll look back on this year, and depending on how the rest of this time shapes up with this Grizzlies core, this could be kind of like the year that never was, or something like that. Because this is an important year that could have aligned not only this season but the long-term future of the Grizzlies. And people will say, they probably say, you're being too dramatic about it. But the point is this: Desmond Bane, John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr. will all, for the first time in their careers, be off of rookie contracts next season. This will be the first time in a while the Grizzlies have been in a luxury tax, potentially even in the first apron. They'll be operating from the point of they have to win on the margins, and they have to really maximize value contracts, like getting guys like Gigi Jackson and Vince Williams Jr. on these cheap deals. Now, they've kind of done that part of it this season, but this year, like with Steven Adams, for example, you guys have heard me say I wasn't a huge fan of that move. I understand why it happened, but I was not a huge fan of that move. If the Grizzlies, for the next 4 or 5 years, just never get back to being that top rebounding team, it's going to be a key point to me.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I'm curious, DeMichael, talking about injuries and stuff. We've seen Brandon Clark. We've seen him out before games, kind of getting shots up early. We saw him down in, Turks and Caicos with some of the other guys during All-Star Weekend, kind of getting some work in. Do you think we're close? Because that's one guy that I would like to see back out there after kind of this long injury surgery. I would like to see him get a couple games in this year and just kind of try to get back into that rhythm. Do you think we're close to getting an update or seeing him in action?
I think, from the physical standpoint, he's very close.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to come down to what the Grizzlies prefer / want him to do. From, indications up to this point, it sounds like the goal is for him to play this season. And if that's the goal, and if that remains the goal, it's simple to me. I think it'll happen. I mean, he's pretty much there from a physical standpoint. But you got the mental part of the game. You got the situation that the team's in. I think we see Brandon Clark for multiple reasons. Of course, Carmen kind of hinted at the idea of getting him some games this season, ahead of next season. I think that makes sense. People can talk about injury risk and all that, but he's taking injury risk right now when he's going to Turks and Caicos, working out and things like that. Like that point is moot to me. So I think it'd be a good idea to see him. Then you factor in the center situation in terms of Trey Jemison being on a games restriction. As we talked about with the players on two-way contracts. Trey Jemison has to miss, I think, like 8 more games this season. It'd be good to have a center other than, Lamar Stevens as your backup center, as we recently saw.
On that whole, I can argue either side, and I respectfully disagree, Bryant. I think Brandon Clark's the one I least want to see because I'm still so scared of that injury. That used to be game, set, match. Career's over. I mean, you go invest your money and you live the good life, but it's over. It's not that killer that it once was, but I'm still really jaded by it. And with that, DeMichael, which one? Boy, this is a loaded question. Who plays that if they got hurt, the whole basketball world turns on them and go, Kleiman, Jenkins, what were you thinking playing this guy?
Oh, man, that's an easy one for me. I think it's Dez in that case because of the money, he's entering a new contract next season. Brandon Clark is on the first year of his extended deal and whatnot, and to a lesser degree, he's a little bit less important than Desmond Bain. If that happens with Dez, you talk about a grade 3 ankle sprain, he's pushing to be back, and then you bring him back and then something bad happens, then, that kind of reflects poorly.
DeMichael, after the last game against the Clippers, Taylor Jenkins was talking about G.G. Jackson, and we actually kind of heard a lot about G.G. Jackson. He was out pregame watching Kawhi Leonard and just trying to kind of take in what Kawhi was doing before.
That's a good one to watch.
It sure is good when he was doing it to Giannis or the game before against the Bucks. Another good
That's
one.
A good one to watch.
Again. But then also Taylor Jenkins after the game was talking about G.G. and how with what he's done offensively, they might give him more of an opportunity and kind of maybe put him as a primary creator out there in the next coming weeks. What do you think of that idea, and what have you really seen from Gigi and his improvements offensively?
Yeah, for Gigi, it's all going to come down to the playmaking side of it. Mm-hmm. And that's the key. Like, talking to the players on the Grizzlies, confidence is part of it. But G.G. Jackson can dribble. Let's start there. He can dribble the basketball. We know that. But if you watch him dribble at South Carolina, you watch him dribble in high school, as compared to when he has the balls in his hand now, and there's a little hesitancy there. It's a difference. So, Derrick Rose, for example. Derrick Rose said, look, he has to play more confident to be able to be that player who becomes that playmaker from that standpoint. That we're just talking about handling the basketball. Then the next level of it is the passing. You go at any scouting report on G.G. Jackson before he got to the NBA, when he was down with the hustle, everyone will tell you on the offensive end, the playmaking in terms of getting teammates involved was the biggest area of growth he needed. He even jokes about it. I've had conversations with him, in the past where he'll say something like, "Yeah, you see, I was swinging the ball today," because we talked about guys, don't expect Gigi to make that extra pass when there's a defender closing out on him and he has a really good shooter in the corner that could be waiting on the basketball. No, Gigi, typically that's his shot. But he's understanding that those are the things that he has to improve at. That's step one. Now it's actually doing it. We'll see what happens. I think, the Grizzlies over probably the last couple weeks of the regular season maybe, we'll put him in, situations where he can operate in pick and roll and do more things like that. And quite frankly, I don't know if it's going to be pretty. I feel like that's more of something in the off season where you get an extended work. And I think Derrick Rose said this too. Like usually, that's something that happens in the off season for a player when you start to get that extended work, in a new position like that, because that's a big deal. But you do like the fact that the Grizzlies aren't afraid to throw a lot of it on his plate and say, hey, because from a different vantage point, with him starting down with the hustle and things like that, you'd think that, they were just taking it easy on him, but they're throwing a lot at him now with the way that the season's going. That playmaking aspect of his game is really going to be the key to how good or great of a player he can be.
To Michael, I said last week when Friday when play resumed for the Grizzlies after the break, that I hope this is the last kind of 20-plus game tranche of games of it's kind of showcase basketball. It's kind of see what we have basketball. These games are largely meaningless, and I hope it's the last time. Everybody wants to get to opening night 24-25. On opening night 24-25. When they're introduced out to the line, will Zaire Williams be a member of the Grizzlies?
Man, I'll say at this point, at this time, I'll say no. I do think, that could change depending on what happens around Zaire, because
I agree fundamentally.
Exactly, but to answer your question straight up, I don't think so, because of the point. The Grizzlies are likely to be a first April team. If Zaire continues to show promise, that gives him some value.
It sure does. He is showcasing, isn't he? He's making it hard.
Yeah. The defense has been really good. The perimeter defense has been really good. And we know, if you look at his net rating numbers with the entire team, Ja Morant is the one player, when he's on the floor with Ja, they play really well together. So you're saying 2024, 2025, you're predicting that Ja Morant will be healthy in that case too, which will lead to a better version of Zaire Williams. So there's a case to be made for what he brings. But at the same time, look, you got Gigi on the wing now. You got Vince Williams on the wing. You will have Marcus Smart if we're talking 2024, 2025. Personally, I like what Lamar Stevens is giving you. I like what you're getting from Stevens as well. So you got all of these, different type of wings. Then that kind of makes him expendable, in my opinion.
Well, DeMichael, you took the words right out of my mouth, because I was just going to ask you about Lamar Stevens. This is a guy that comes in, wasn't able to get a role at all, really, in Boston, and comes in here. First game is incredible. He's since joining this Grizzlies team, he's averaging about 11.3 points, 7 rebounds. Is this a guy that you think after this season's over, the Grizzlies could see value and get some sort of kind of smaller contract to have him as a rotation piece in the future?
Yeah, it's funny because when he came here, he was just like a little throw-in, right? Oh yeah. He's he's aspiring contract. Open up a roster spot to go get somebody they really want. But you watch him play. This is a Taylor Jenkins type of guy. Mm-hmm. Like, the physicality for one. To be able to guard, the Zion Williamson, the Sagoons, the Giannis. That's who Taylor is entrusting in those situations now. Lamar Stevens. And he's 6'6", 230, big body guy. And I don't know if it was on here, but I remember someone saying that this is kind of what David Roddy was envisioned to be with the Grizzlies, and that's how I see him. Like, he's that bigger body, but he can score, off the dribble. He has that capability, and the Grizzlies have needed more of that. We've seen as he's played, he hasn't had a problem scoring. So there is a role to be had for him, because I think in offseason, when you talk about what the Grizzlies could potentially add on the wing, you're not looking for a starter. You got Marcus Smart. You got Vince Williams. You're not really looking for another starter unless, I guess an incredible opportunity just lands straight on your face. But to get a guy like him off the bench, I think that just gives you much more depth. And he's really showing something right now. I mean, he's been impressive to me.
DeMichael Cole, our guest from the Commercial Appeal on all things Grizzlies. And going into the break, the Grizzlies went into that break with maybe the wins of the year over Houston, certainly the win of the year over Milwaukee, then the long break, and then Friday night, here we go again. Again, I think legit about 17,000, place rocking. There were Clipper fans there to see the big Hall of Fame four, and for 2 minutes and 6 seconds, they saw them on the floor together. That's about as long as they're ever out there together. And right down to the end against the Clippers, the Grizzlies, it was there to be had, but it just slipped away against the Clipper team. I think DeMichael can go for it. I know last night was not good for him, and a guy that will help them. We know the big four. We know the other pieces. In a 7-game NBA final series, I think a guy like P.J. Tucker helps them.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? I would say this. Lamar Stevens, from a physicality standpoint, reminds me of that type of player.
Sure does.
Yeah. Been there and done that in terms of, playing for the Rockets and all those playoff battles, playing with the Bucks, winning the championship with the Bucks, all of that.
Right.
He's been there and done that. But talk about a guy who's physical, playing the 3, playing the 4, playing the 5. Lamar Stevens has been that type of guy. And he's probably a better scorer at this point of his career than P.J. Tucker is at this point of his career. So, I think, we're aligned with the type of player. Like, the Grizzlies need that really tough guy. Now, there's something to be said about what P.J. Tucker brings from a vocal standpoint, leadership on the court, and all those type of things. But, he makes sense to me. But Lamar Stevens, as a younger option who can give you some of those things and a little bit of wiggle as well, I like his game.
DeMichael, I've seen a lot of people on social media, not just recently, but most of the season, since the season has turned into what the year has become with injuries and instead of a go-for-it year that we thought it could be at the beginning of the season, a lot of people have been having this argument about, okay, if you're going to get a top 10 pick, if you're going to be in the lottery, what do you do with that pick? Do you go out and draft, one of these top prospects? But then there are people that say this is a weak draft. You should go out and try to trade that, bring in a veteran player, maybe, move down in the draft. I know that's kind of a hard question because we don't know exactly where the Grizzlies will be, and it's still very early, but which camp are you on? Do you think the Grizzlies should go out and draft one of these top prospects or kind of see what the trade market looks like around their pick?
Man, I think you can make an argument in both directions. Right now, I'm leaning toward the idea of trading the pick, but before I say why on that, I will say this. In the back of my head, there is kind of, because I'm saying it a bunch, how this offseason is big for future roster flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
And going to get another young player who could be on a cost-controlled contract for what would be 5 seasons.
Yeah.
While you're operating in the first apron. And you talk about 5 seasons. So in 2 years, Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to have a new contract. And if that's with the Grizzlies, it's probably going to be at least $250 million. So he'd be the highest paid player at that point in Grizzlies franchise history. So if that's the case, you're going to need those type of, we hit on this first round pick a couple years ago. Thank goodness we did, because you're not going to be able to give out big deals. So that part of it is in the back of my head. But the other part of this, and this is why I think you should trade it, because remember the OKC Thunder with Russell Westbrook and James Harden and Kevin Durant, and everyone just knew that core would eventually win a championship. When they lost to Miami, they were like, no sweat, they'll be back. And, it happened. They never got back. Matter of fact, James Harden, that was all she wrote with him playing with that team.
That's it.
So my point is, whether it be injuries, whether it be contract problems, all of that, you don't know how long a core in the NBA is going to last. And the Grizzlies have their core. This is it now. Everybody knows it's Ja Morant, Desmond Bain, Jaren Jackson Jr. Build around those guys. As long as that window is open, you have to approach every single season like we're going for it. We're going for it. We're going for it. We're going for it. And in the case of the Grizzlies, trading that pick, I feel like puts you in position to get that center, because this is my big problem. Everyone who says, hey, let's draft a center with that pick. My rebuttal to that would be, okay, so if you do that, you're telling me you're fine with that guy, whoever it be in the draft, guarding Anthony Davis one-on-one in the first round of the playoffs, guarding Jokic in the Western Conference Finals, or battling Rudy Gobert on the boards, or guarding Karl Anthony Towns when he moves to the center spot. That's what you're fine with. Oh, you think he's going to be physical enough to deal with Yusuf Nurkic, or he's going to be physical enough to deal with DeMontis Sabonis. That's what you're saying if you say the Grizzlies should draft a rookie center in the NBA draft, because you're going to need that player to be ready now. I'm not confident in any center in this draft being ready now. So with that being said, trade it, get a ready now guy, and swing for the fences next year, because you don't know how many more times you're going to have this core to keep running it back.
Tonight against Brooklyn at FedEx Forum, a week from tonight against Brooklyn at Barclays. In between that, road trip to Minneapolis to play Minnesota, and 2 against Portland at home. And I'm not saying this through Beale Street blue-colored glasses. I'm not, DeMichael.
Okay. Minnesota's
the exception. Mm-hmm. I would rather be the Grizzlies going forward than Brooklyn or Portland.
And you know why I agree with that? Because at least with the Grizzlies, I think people will go into the offseason and still expect this team to win 50 games next season.
Absolutely.
That'll be the expectation. Whether it happens or not is another conversation. But with Ja Morant, Desmond Bain, Marcus Smart, all those guys on the floor, we saw with Ja Morant in the lineup in particular, the team went 6-3.
Yeah.
And they were on that pace. They were on that 50-win type of pace at that point. So, in the case of the Grizzlies, you're pretty much just having some open tryouts right now. You're getting a longer run than many other teams to see what you have on this roster. Whereas Portland, they got some players over there, but nothing stands out to the point, at least, guys like Jeremy Grant, big contract. They don't know. I feel like they're in a tough spot with him because he's kind of in his prime right now, whereas the rest of their core is probably 2 years from now. That's a problem a team like the Grizzlies, isn't having. They know next season they'll be ready to try to compete for it.
Yeah, well, it should be a fun night tonight at FedEx Forum with the Grizzlies going up against the Nets. Right now, Grizzlies a 2.5-point underdog against this Nets team that just had to fire their head coach last week. So it should be a lot of fun. DeMichael, as always, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next Monday.
All right, take care, guys.
Thanks,
DeMichael.
You got it.
DeMichael Cole with us from the Commercial Appeal, and that, again, the Grizzlies are underdog. Hadn't been favored a lot lately, have they?
No, they haven't. But, man, this might be a spot. I know we want them to lose games. I know a lot of fan base wants them to lose games for those lottery balls, but I don't know. I like their chances tonight.
Now, we will do that at some point at season's conclusion. Going into next year, who would you really rather be, this team or the Grizzlies? Now, there are a lot of Eastern teams. Unfortunately, the Grizzlies don't play in the East.
Right.
There are a lot of Eastern teams I'd rather be. Then you get over in the West, and it gets tough. But I can't wait till that summertime over and under season win total for next year comes out. It's going to be it's going to start at 50, like DeMichael said.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's so weird because, you look at the teams that right now, if you just go to the standings and you look at the teams that are in the same area as the Grizzlies, Portland, in a complete rebuild right now. Brooklyn just had to fire their head coach, and people say they don't know what direction they're going in. You look at a lot of these teams. And
we got Atlanta coming up soon.
Atlanta coming up. There's a lot of teams that I just think the Grizzlies are in such a better position, even though this year has turned into what it's turned into.
Wish we could move to the East.
Well, hey, maybe with expansion in the next couple of years, maybe that wish will be granted.
If only Rob Manfred was commissioner of the NBA, we might all move. That's next year. This is right now, and that's this great deal you can get at All-Star Chevrolet. You can head down there, Highway 78, Kraft Goodman Road, your first exit, and you're there. And if you're ready for a new Silverado All-Star, they have them right there in Olive Branch. Financing down to 2.9 for 72 months or up to $5,000 back in cash. Plus, you make no payments for 90 days, and your good credit, it deserves it. And you get it at All-Star. It's still the month of love, and at Olive Branch, you'll love all the great deals on Silverados, Trailblazers, Tahoes, Equinox. You're going to love seeing the All-Star lot in showroom loaded up again the way it should be. You want something pre-owned? They have it. Everything you want, it's right there. Nissan Rogue, Jeeps, Ram trucks, Traverse with third row seating so we can all do more together. Where are you going for Easter, for spring break, and that first big summertime trip? What are you going to drive? You need to drive something from All-Star. For teachers, military, college students, healthcare workers, you get an extra $500 back bonus cash. Everyone at All-Star, they're ready for you. And if they have what you're looking for, and if they don't, they can get it really easily with all their contacts. Just ask Kevin or Jeff, and they'll find it for you. Remember, it's not South Haven, not Mount Moriah, not Bartlett, not Collierville. It's got to be Olive Branch. Come on down to All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch today, or go to allstarautogroup.com.
Well, let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous, serving the official barbecue of the Memphis Grizzlies.
It's leap year, so jump into big savings at Gossett Kia on the Pike. New 2024 Kia Forte LXS
right, I'm back.
gets 41 MPG, $239 a month, $27.99 due at signing. How about 7-passenger seating? Get 2023 Kia Sorento LX, $319 a month, $34.99 due at signing. 2024 Kia Telluride LX, $459 a month, $34.99 due at signing. All 36-month lease, and don't forget, every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. So call Bobby J to put you in a new Kia today. That's Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online anytime at KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 650 acquisition fee. Forte RE722-812, MSRP 21,590. Sorrento PG 242710, MSRP 33,010. Telluride RG 462-822, MSRP 38,705. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/29/24 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
It's a new year, and Family Leisure has a new way to bring family and fun together. All you have to do is walk into Family Leisure and look around. All those floor model patio sets you see, those have got to go. So Family Leisure can make room for all the new sets coming. Get a wicker sofa set for under $2,000. Pool tables under $1,500. Theater seating for under $2,000. Hot tubs for $4,000 or just for yourself. If you really want to lounge, they're under $5,000. Need patio cushions? Get them as low as $25. Oh, have you seen those infrared steam saunas? Well, now they and the traditional saunas are 25% off. It may just be the first few weeks of 2024, but that doesn't mean you can't start getting ready for summer. 2 final things. Purchase your above-ground pool now and get first in line for installation, and take advantage of special financing that's available. Family Leisure, Whitten Road and I-40, bringing the family and the fun back together.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets, but I did ask for help. And Covenant House was there for me.
For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there. To learn more, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Binswanger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Binswanger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Binswanger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit binswingerglass.com. Binswanger Glass.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. T-Dot's on the scene of an accident in South Memphis right now. It's going to be on 55 southbound right at Winchester. Really slowing down that traffic now between Brooks and Winchester on 55 southbound here in South Memphis. On the scene of this accident, T-Dot's trying to move the cars right now. It's picked up with more volume on 240 East getting on to Bill Morris Parkway. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we got about 30 minutes left in today's show. We talked a lot earlier about the Tigers' win over FAU, but something we weren't able to do Friday because the game was on Sunday was talk about our Tiger bankroll. We made our picks off air Saturday night, and I just want to get out in front of it. I just want to say this. I have been, y'all don't know this, so confession time, I guess. I have been picking against the Tigers to will them to victory, and I did it again over the weekend. Oh, that's what you were doing. Not once in my mind.
Taking it for the team, huh?
Exactly. Not once in my mind did I think the Tigers were going to lose that game on Sunday, but I knew that it was my duty to pick against them to will them to a victory, So
good job.
Thank you. So
are you in debt right now, Dickies?
No.
I got plenty of money.
We don't run any debt or credit.
I got plenty of money. So we all picked against the
Group
Tigers. I cannot speak for y'all two. Why y'all did not pick the Tigers? I can only speak for myself. So we were all losers on Sunday.
I wagered 60 on FAU, laying the 1.5. That was a loss. Mm-hmm. Bryant wagered 100. You so wanted to will the Tigers.
Really willing them. I mean,
laying the 1.5. And Johnny, 9-game winning streak comes to an end. He had 75 on FAU. Wow. That takes Johnny's total for the year to 1075. So he's in a profit of 75.
Yeah.
I'm at 1,400, so you trail me by 325. That's still very doable.
Got to pick it up, man. I got to pick up the pace.
Brian at 575, and he's close to shooting the Rapids.
Yeah, I'm just sitting on the sidelines watching. I'm watching y'all have y'all's fun, and it's lonely down here.
And here's the tough part. We know East Carolina Thursday night. Mm-hmm. We know UAB on next Sunday afternoon, and then FAU on the final Saturday afternoon. I don't think the Tigers are one and done at Dickies.
No.
Week ago, I was a little scared of it.
Yeah.
I don't even think they're 2 and done at Dickies. So you got to hold some cash back to play.
Yeah, I mean it's a tricky game we play. It's very tricky, and then
it's called gaming.
Yeah, and then whatever tournament they get to, you don't want to throw all your money out there, and then they, I don't know.
Where are you on NIT?
I think if they don't make the NCAA tournament and they get a bid to go to the NIT, I think you take it just because I remember a couple years ago when North Carolina declined the invite to the NIT and just the public mocking that became.
Now that was COVID didn't Texas NIT.
Right. But so still, I mean, I think even.
Am I right on that? Was that year?
I want to say it was. I think it was, but. So even more of a reason to maybe opt out of it, and then still kind of the public mocking of North Carolina, and I would say North Carolina is they certainly have the titles and kind of more of reputation than Memphis has, and so I don't know. I would not want to have the public mocking of Memphis saying no to the NIT.
I've not been keen on the NIT for anybody of any note for a long time. Mm-hmm. And in 3 weeks, if that's Ole Miss on the Monday of the NIT, I'm going to say the same thing. Yeah. I can make a little stronger case for Ole Miss with a first-year coach than I can for the Tigers and a 6-year coach, and they've already done that twice and won it once. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to. I would say they need to turn it down too. Yeah. I know how much conversation I'm going to have for anybody in it, and it'll be very darn little. Maybe Tiger Bankroll will be the extent of it. Yeah. Even a few years ago, I guess you could make the case with that young a team, Boogie, Jeffries, and others, that you can make the case of, well, let's try to string a little something together for them.
I mean, it was kind of that stepping stone of
and then they were all out of town afterwards.
Well, that's a good point, yeah.
Off of this team this year, if you went to the NIT and you went on a magical run, and yet another NIT banner goes up at FedEx Forum.
Oh, boy.
How many of those players are going to be back next year and can point to, the NIT, it launched us? How many?
Not many.
Not many. Not many around college basketball. Yeah. Now, a team like Arkansas State with first-year head coach, and has he done some job there?
He sure has. I saw they were on, I think, ESPNU one day last week against Troy, and that gym was jumping.
That was Saturday, wasn't it?
No, I think it was like a Wednesday or Thursday game. Maybe it wasn't Troy then.
When was that?
It was one game last week during the week, and it was a home game for Arkansas State, and the gym was jumping because I flipped over there and was watching a little bit, and I was really surprised of how engaged that fan base had become.
I'm going to say it for anybody in this area. I'm not calling out anybody. I'm just saying anybody that has an AD opening or a basketball coach opening, you ought to be looking at Arkansas State with Jeff Purinton and Hodgson as your basketball coach.
Yeah, no, he's done a really good job, and a lot.
That's
of
people, a duo.
It really is,
and that's a duo straight from the Bama shop.
Exactly, and that's when he took the job at Arkansas State, a lot of people at Alabama and a lot of their beat writers and reporters were saying, this guy was the bread and butter when it came to recruiting the high-end 5 stars and getting those guys, the Brandon Millers, to commit. He was a massive part of that. He's just a heck of a recruiter. And so, I think, a year or two more of success at Arkansas State for him, and, he could be really set up for a big job.
Brian, something else is kind of funny, whether it's at the text line or my Twitter, it's not everyone. It's a couple. Anytime we mention next year in college football, and I mention Ole Miss, Homer, Brett, and they're not going anywhere and all that stuff. Well, first of all, everybody out there doing way too early lists, they have Ole Miss in it. It's not a Brett-inspired thing.
No.
Now, I have them in mind, too, but I'm not alone, and I wasn't first.
No, you're not.
So today, our buddy Jimmy Shapiro sends us odds from BetOnline_AG. That's the Twitter site, at BetOnline_AG. And he sends the odds for SEC championship game next year. Really early for that, I know. Don't even know how much real money you could put down on that right now. But here are the odds, and remember, no conferences or no divisions next year. Just the top 2 go. Georgia at 2-1. I don't think anybody can argue with that. Texas at 5-2. Ole Miss at 13-2.
Wow.
Alabama 9-1. Tennessee 9-1. LSU 20-1. Missouri 11-1. Texas A&M 22-1. Auburn 50-1. Oklahoma 50-1. Kentucky 80-1. South Carolina 90-1. Florida 100-1. Arkansas 125-1. Mississippi State 200-1, and Vanderbilt at 250-1.
Wow. I mean, Ole Miss, can't get my teams out after hearing all of them. Ole Miss certainly up there, and like you said, any of the projections has Ole Miss up there, and so I mean, with what they're bringing back, Brett, I've said it before, and I'm certainly not the biggest Ole Miss supporter by any means. I like what they've got going next year.
Yeah, and that's one person. That's the betting markets. They're kind of in it for profit.
No, you're absolutely right, and so we'll see.
That's not Fonzie, Memphis radio guy.
No, not at all. When you talked about Tennessee and their odds, I told you one of my buddies after their bowl game was texting me and saying, "Oh, I'm putting money
can't do
on.
it again with Tennessee.
I'm putting my money on Nico for Heisman."
I did it last year with Joe Milton and got just singed.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the futures, but I don't know if I would feel super comfortable about.
Can't do it with A&M.
No, I'm done with doing it for A&M. But
sure can do it with Georgia. I think they've earned it.
Yeah.
And we'll see about Texas and Ole Miss, and we'll see with new Alabama coach Kalen DeBoer.
Mm-hmm.
Won't that be different watching him going through that first spring?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's already, I think they've, obviously they have kind of winter workouts and stuff like that, and you've seen a little bit of stuff, and just very.
How different is it? He's on Twitter. He's doing doing local talk radio interviews.
Yeah, that's very different. So it's gonna be a kind of a we're gonna need some time to get used to not seeing Nick Saban with Alabama football.
I saw a suggestion out there. I think it was in Peter King's Going Away column this morning. Did you read that?
I got to read a little bit of it, but by the time I saw it, I got so busy I couldn't read all of it.
And we were talking earlier about how media has changed, and it has, I think, mostly for the better.
Sure.
Still the market decides. If you don't like what somebody's doing, you can speak.
Yeah.
You can not subscribe. You cannot listen. You cannot watch.
Yep.
You cannot read. And if you do like it, and enough of them do it, guess what? They stay around and flourish and do well. But he suggested kind of a Manning cast type setup for a Saban Belichick setup.
Ooh. I'd like that. That'd be fun.
I would love to see it on both college and pro.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to hear Belichick talking, analyzing college, and Nick Saban, head coach in the pros and longtime assistant, so not foreign to him.
Right.
Been a long time since Bill Belichick's been a college coach.
Yeah.
I don't know if he ever was.
Well,
his dad was.
Sure, yeah. But, I think they would be great for both of them, and that's something you could see. We've seen certainly what the Manning cast has done. We've seen, Pat McAfee and his group with different college games. So we know that ESPN, has an appetite for those sorts of alternate broadcasts. So
and if you're going to do that, though, you know who should be not scared of, but a little, slow down on many more casts, are the traditional announcers.
Yeah.
Because how can the next wave, we know Nance, Buck, Michaels, Tirico, Nestler, Fowler, Herb Street in college. We know they've carved their big slice of the market.
Yeah.
It's not going away. Romo, that's not going away. But for the next wave, wait a second. If you get these guys for the megacast, why do you need, the old good evening, everyone? Something's got to give.
Yeah, no, that's a good question, and I think there will always be that market for the traditional broadcast, but at the same time, you only have so many stations that you can put those alternate broadcasts on while keeping the traditional broadcast. So you're right, media's changing, and that's certainly something that is going to be around and changing in the future as we get kind of more and different alternate streams, because we're seeing it in all sports, not just football with the Manning cast.
I'm going to be out tomorrow, and I know you're going to visit with Brent Beard about it, because he's very close to it and knows the history of the SEC and the affinity that every fan base has with its announcers. And last week, the announcement, it got a little untidy, and I think that's a shame for every party of Eli Gold not returning as the longtime voice of Crimson Tide football, and Chris Stewart, who has been doing baseball and basketball for years now. He will be the voice of Alabama. I don't want to say anything that's impolite about Eli Gold or anything that would hurt Chris coming in. I'm so happy for Chris and glad for his shot. I'm just sorry that it had to get rancorous like it did. But, Bryant, it shows no matter what. In Memphis, we had what you would call untidy over Jack Eaton,
sure,
as longtime voice of the Tigers. It has happened before. Alabama had it long ago with John Forney, but well before Eli Gold. John Ward, he went out on his own terms. Jack Crystal went out on his own terms. Most do, but sometimes they don't. But what it shows, no matter how popular you are, no announcer, no sideline announcer, no play-by-play announcer, no pregame, no postgame, no announcer is bigger than that program.
No, you're
None.
right about that.
It will rock right on.
Yep.
With or without Brett, with or without this one, with or without that one, it will rock right on. And if you don't understand that, I think you're terribly naive.
No, you're right about that. As much as we get a connection with the people we listen to and watch and stuff like that. I mean,
and they'll get a net connection to the new guy.
Sure, exactly. I mean, things can change, and at the end of the day, these schools are gonna make decisions, and sometimes they're gonna be ones you don't like, and at the end of the day, that's just what happens. But let's go ahead and get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Here's some hard truth about engagement rings. There are 10 premier designers every woman knows about. They're like the Mercedes or Louis Vuitton of engagement rings. World-class, iconic, quality names. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and these designers are hard to get, and every jewelry store wants them, but very few make the cut, so they have to settle for lesser brands or knockoffs. Around here, there's only one jewelry store that offers these premium rings. It's Genesis Diamonds. Genesis is the only one that made the cut, that meets the highest standards. Genesis is the only store that's allowed to offer these exceptional brands that women really want. Other stores are jealous of this and will try and convince you these are more expensive and try to get you to settle for something else. But the truth is, Genesis has top quality designer rings for under $2,000. It's not about price, it's about craftsmanship and quality and detail and individuality. So don't compromise. Get her a world-class ring she will be proud to wear. Genesis Diamonds on Poplar at Perkins Extended.
Do you have an invention idea but don't know what to do next? Call InventHelp today. We have representatives nationwide and services to showcase your invention. Get started today.
Call 1-800-217-4380. That's 1-800-217-4380.
Get ready for the live tennis event of the year, the Netflix Slam, on March 3rd at 12:30 p.m. Pacific. Join 22-time Grand Slam champion and tennis legend Rafael Nadal as he takes on world number 2, Carlos Alcaraz, and witness a tennis showdown like never before. This live Netflix sports event promises unparalleled tennis action, so don't miss the thrill. Mark your calendars for March 3rd, 12:30 p.m. Pacific. It's Game, Set, Match on Netflix.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague-certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year, no dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Call me, 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 375-1717.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! This is for all the biggest crunch time. You are looking live in your life. Have you seen anything like that. Goodbye. Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, Brett, I learned 2 things today, and the first thing I learned, it was an unbelievable weekend for Arkansas's pitching staff. We had a texter that texted in earlier while we were doing our big number and said his big number is 17 because of Hagen Smith's performance. Hagen Smith, the ace, the Friday night starter for Arkansas, struck out 17 batters in their game against Oregon State. That was a top 10 matchup for Arkansas, and they looked good. They struck out 59 batters all weekend in all 3 of their games over the weekend. Just an unbelievable weekend for Arkansas's pitching staff, and if they can keep that rolling, it could be a really, really
Omahogs.
Omahogs, that's right. The other thing I learned today, USF enters the AP Top 25 poll this week at number 25. It's the first time in program history that USF has been in the AP Top 25. They beat SMU yesterday 79-68 for its 13th straight win. Last season, USF finished 14-18 and 7-11 in conference. This year, in the first season under Amir Abdur-Rahim, they've clinched at least a share of the AAC regular season title. They sit at 21-5, 14-1 in conference. A really, really impressive first season for Amir Abdur-Rahim. And their next game, a big one against Charlotte on Saturday, the first time these 2 teams met. Charlotte led by 15 points with less than 12 minutes play. USF able to come back at home and get that win. This time in Charlotte could be a little different.
What I learned, if the story was accurate, then give whoever breaks it credit from whatever entity, whether it's what you or I consider legitimate media or not. It's legitimate if they're right.
Absolutely.
From whatever quarter they are. It's not the media world I was brought up in, and I've said in many ways I don't know if that's such a bad thing. It may, in a lot of areas, be better. Not always, but often it is. Give Bluff City media their credit. Also could have I learned this, and I texted you during it. Learned the PGA Tour. I don't know that it's a legit 45 event a year deal anymore. That yesterday at the Mexico Open, here is the final leaderboard, and here are the names: Knapp, Valimaki, Pan, Yager, Lower, Rogers, McIntyre, Cameron Young, Doug Jim, Novak, Van Rooyen, Kim, McNeely, Tony Finau. Ooh, that group in Mexico, that was some names, wasn't it?
It sure was.
Now, Knapp still walks out with $1.4 million.
Hey, good for him. That's a good weekend. Great weekend. And he was rocking the Anaheim Ducks logo on one of his sleeves, which was fun to see.
And there was one guy that has trouble chipping. And he, I promise you, used his putter, the Texas wedge.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
From about 60 yards out.
And the guys on the broadcast were like shocked. They were like, he's pulling his putter out again. I mean, what is he doing? You can't putt from there.
I did that one time playing with guys and it made the other team so mad. Said, that's not golf. You're playing croquet. That's not golf. I said, I can use any club I want.
Hey, I'm just trying to get in the hole. That's what I'm trying to do.
But a pro golfer that can't chip from 60 yards?
A little different, Brett. What I could have done without is the Los Angeles Clippers announced this morning that they are rebranding, new logo, new uniforms, everything when they get to their new arena. And Brett, I'll be honest, this new logo, not a fan at all. I mean, it is a mess. It's a C. Inside the C is a compass.
It's as goofy as Ballmer is.
Ship. I mean, this is one of the worst logos I think I can.
That is terrible. I just seen it.
It's bad. It's so bad. And I love. No, go ahead, Brett.
This is for the Clippers, right?
The Clippers. That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, Ballmer.
Well, and one thing I love about any time a team gets to, rebrands their logo or anything, they throw out the graphic that like pinpoints every single detail in the logo and is like, this is why this is there. This is the symbolism behind this. I maybe it'll grow on me. I like the jerseys. The jerseys are cool. The logo, whoa.
It's a lot of busy, Brett. That thing is terrible.
They're going all new. They're so tired of sharing the building with the Lakers. They're trying to go fresh. The new glitzy building. And Brian, I'm with you. I'm looking at it now. It's hideous. But what do they have to lose? Because you know what the Clippers' history and tradition amounts to? About nothing.
Well, that's a good point. So might as well start over and try just something off the
Their
wall.
last great teams were when they were in Buffalo.
Well, that's a good point. It's a mess, though.
I could have done without 14th place last in the Big Ten for Juwan Howard in Michigan, and I think he's getting ready to be out. Davey Cobb is a little more positive about him staying another year. Remember when it looked like he might win a national title before Harbaugh? Yeah. That was a long time ago. He's not bigger than that program, and I think soon he'll be out.
Yeah, no, it's been really a rough stint at Michigan after kind of the first, oh man, he's going to be great. All of the off-the-court situations have been really, really bad. Where are you beaming tonight?
I'm beaming to 1 week before conference tournament games. Hurry up and get here, March Madness. The last slog through conference games that begins. So give me Baylor at TCU tonight, and not a must-win for both, but it helps. The net world, they look great. Baylor's net is 16. Wow. TCU's net is 30. That Big 12, it keeps the Nets way up there.
It sure does. Beam me tonight to the Nets-Grizzlies game. Right now, Brooklyn, last time I checked, about a 2-point favorite tonight on the road. I kind of like the Grizzlies here. I don't think I'll bet them, but maybe a first half or something. Go out there, compete, get a lead, and then maybe lose in the fourth quarter. I'm not saying I'm a fan of it, but hey, we'll see what happens.
Let's all pull for Mississippi Valley State tonight. They're 0-27. They're at home tonight against Prairie View.
Yeah.
Let's pull for them. I'm pulling for them.
Let's pull for them. It's been really, really rough. Prairie View 10-17 on the year and a 9.5-point favorite tonight. So it is not going to be great. But, Brett, it's another Monday. We've seen what these Mondays have been really for the last month or so in college basketball. Very limited. You get about 2, maybe 3 power conference games, but other than that, it's pretty meh. And then you get kind of more and more as the week progresses. So
you mentioned Grizzlies at FedEx Forum, and Heat and Kings late will be good.
Yeah. So a couple good games in the NBA. Not a really big slate in the NBA either. Only about 4 games tonight. So kind of a limited slate of games, but should be some good basketball tonight. Well, that's all the time we have. Enjoy your night. We'll do it again tomorrow afternoon.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. Roofing and siding, gutters too. We're the pros you can trust to get it done right. Call on us. Five-Ash Roofing, the name to know. Five-Ash Roofing, the only way to go. Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. Five-Ash Roofing.
Is that not the corniest thing you've ever heard? Can you believe I paid good money for that silly jingle? Well, the experts say make it memorable, and I think I got my money's worth. Five-Ash Roof Services, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five-Ash Roofing, 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder,